I think we are live, and we will get some draft going here in just a second.
Yep. Looks like draft has just started. So we got blue side picking for BushWookies. Her first banning. Let's see what they ban first. And coming out with the Yasuo. And then right back to the Mundo for SPG. And then Braum. Man, they're going pretty fast at this. They actually know what they want to ban right off the bat.
Yeah. Yasuo, pretty much one trick on SPG, not surprised. Eli Senpai's been playing a lot of Mundo top. Not surprised there either.
Also coming off of the side of SPG, a Victor ban. And then Pantheon for BushWookies.
A little bit of a flex ban there, but I suspect that's primarily targeted at support. And I
Really?
think they know the strategies of BushWookies is to stick Eli on a lot of tanks top. So I suspect they might try to ban out a few tanks top and see if they can influence the draft that way.
Yeah, coming from the Orn ban there, yeah, I can see it. All right, like we may get a first pick Lulu. Yes, we do come in with the first pick Lulu. I'm surprised they didn't actually first pick an ADC or maybe even a jungler here.
I don't know. Lulu's so crazy strong in the bot lane right now. I'm not overly surprised with it. You can play it with pretty much any scaling AD carry. Strong early, really strong late. Even
Maybe it's
after the
just me.
nerfs.
I'm a tank fan on the support role.
Well, like I
But
said, BushWookies likes to put tank top, so they'll still create space, but I think that's their preferred play style.
we got Vi in the jungle. Yone looking to be mid lane for SPG here. Quite AD heavy already, so maybe we'll find some AP picks to balance it out for their side.
Or he's a pretty safe early aggro mid. I like that pick a lot. And you can still pivot that draft into a sort of back to front or front to back, depending on what you see later.
It's kind of looking like to me more like a front, like a kind of a kite away kind of comp.
I suspect that's probably the most likely.
Well, they're
Well,
starting to draft hard engage here with Diana. Maybe we'll see.
immediately eat the words.
Yes. Zinzal, okay, yeah, that still kind of goes with their. They can go with their peel away comp. Zinzal's ultimate would definitely provide that ability to pick real quick. All right. Let's see. Maybe what are we thinking here? So we got Vi jungle, Yone middling.
I would
So
probably pick an
maybe
AD carry here.
AD carry. You think?
That's what I would do. Not or
Nope.
just okay.
Support last.
Full engage.
Yeah, really. The two lockdowns with the VIR and the Nautilus are as well. So
Yeah,
they
I'd
got.
probably go Jinx Sivir bans here. Try to get rid of anything that's gonna A scale super well and B have a like way to escape some of your hard engage.
So it's looking like SPG still. I would like to see an AP pick from their side at least. So they're. That's. I'm guessing BushWookies is going to ban Kennen and maybe another AP top laner, Rumble, Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't get that. And it could be very likely that they might even pick a mage bot lane on SPG. I would be interested to see it, but you know, we'll have to wait and see. And with the best of ban at the end, and we get a Varus. So still a little bit, a little bit AP with the Vars due to his
Wasn't there
blight.
supposed to be an extra ban?
I do not know. Oh, that's right. SPG does have 3 points, so then we are going to get an extra ban for their side,
Yeah,
supposedly.
Alawi. Yeah. So it's pretty safe. Use your ult to drop out of Vi Nautilus R.
Yeah,
Still gonna have to probably run cleanse though.
yeah, definitely still going with that peel away comp. And there you go. Like you said, tank top lane, Cassante. I love the Cassante pick. Said very, very good top laner, very strong. I hate how strong Cassante, like he acts like a bruiser in my opinion. Oh, never mind. They might actually end up picking Malphite, and they're just gonna rotate through all their tanks. The Shen.
Shin's been triple buffed. I'm not surprised to see that. Eli plays it a lot. Obviously,
And,
pretty good into a dive comp. You can drop that W on top of the 80 carry and negate some of the damage from Vi Yone.
um, for the side of Bushwookies, they do look, in my opinion, lacking a little bit of, I'd say AoE CC. Whereas the side of SPG really has that lockdown and a lot of AoE CC coming from them. And I really think SPG drafted really good, aside from the fact that they kind of don't, they're missing a little bit of AP. But I do, you do see the Cho'Gath that has, if he is going tank, that has some, AP off his abilities, as well as Varsa's Blight. So we do got some.
Yeah, I'd say Bushwookies have a pretty good sort of early rumble in the mid team comp here, but
Yeah.
I think if this scales super late, I think you have to like SPG's comp a little bit more. With that said, Zaya played very well, can kite and outscale the damage of Varus, in my opinion. So, especially with Lulu on Enchanter. I think Lulu is one of the most broken supports in the game right now. So,
Yeah.
if this
So
gets to hyper late, Lulu Zaya can absolutely shred Cho'Gath Nautilus. And then it's
so
just going to be can Yone and Vi get to him.
So what we're looking for on the side of Bushwookies would be, really playing for that early game, probably early game objectives, things that would probably get them to winning, closing out the game really. Probably things like Grubs and Herald maybe. For side
Yeah.
SPG, I think we're looking for them. We really want to see them actually kind of play the game slow, get the dragons, and just try to drag the game out as long as possible. They got really good team fight, and I do believe, in my opinion, that they do have a little bit better team fight than Bushwookies. So if they do get to late and start fighting with more of those team fights, I do believe that they could pull that out.
Yeah. I'd like to see, obviously, there's a bit of a rank disparity in the jungle here. If objectives start snowballing early for SPG, I think that will spell bad things for Bushwookie.
Yes, it definitely can. So, waiting on a ready.
I'm curious about the Cho'Gath Shin top lane. Uh, I think that could be a
Um, I
little bit of a wet noodle fight in the top, but it could have implications about
I
side pushes late.
would think I would be tending to say that's more Cho'Gath favored in my opinion. Uh, yeah, actually, I'm looking at it, and I believe to be that this is. While I do believe it would be Cho'Gath favored, I think it is supposed to be an even matchup for both of them. So, uh, we'll see who comes out on top in that lane. But I do think that, obviously, the later the game goes, the stronger, Cho'Gath will get compared to the Shin. But I don't think Shin's job is to, outscale the Cho'Gath or even beat the Cho'Gath. I think his one and only job would be to, provide that utility in the team fight, especially with the shields on, key players like maybe the Zaya or Ari.
Looks like we're about to get underway with the pick ban within the client. Um, but yeah, I think Shen's a pretty strong pick if you get all the way late to Zaya. With that said, if Shen does get ahead with the recent buffs to his Q doing more percent max health, he could be a little bit of a menace in the side lane, just with the global teleport and stuff.
Sad is the item rush on Shin still Titanic Hydra? Or do
I
you,
I have no idea. I don't play Shen top.
so that would provide them the wave clear to keep the game going, and it gives a lot of health.
Heart Steel into Titanic looks to be the matchup. So I might see double Heart Steel Wet Noodle top. It is one of my favorite items in the game. It's just kind of
They've nerfed it, Heartsteel.
yeah. It's just fun. Like I love the sound effects of it. Just bonk. I got chat saying that AP matters less on SPG's side because there's less armor stacking to worry about from BushWookies' side, which is pretty true.
What's the worst that could
Um,
happen?
but I
Yeah.
am curious about sort of this mid jungle. So I think if you look at this comp, Yone, Vi versus Ari Jinzhao, I think if it's played well, Ari Jinzhao might have a little bit more precedence early. So I'm curious which side they take that stronger side to. Like, are you gonna play top centric and just let bottom scale, or are you gonna sort of try to force the early dragon and see if you can sneak an objective down there?
And, for my opinion, Xin Zhao, obviously, I don't think the Xin Zhao needs to really focus top lane too much. That's a tank on tank matchup. I really don't think there's any reason to gank a tank on tank matchup. It doesn't matter how many times you gank them. I mean, yeah, you can get kills for yourself on them, but getting kills on tanks top lane is just like it doesn't matter too much because even if you set them behind, they're still useful with all their utility they got. Whereas for the side of Vi, it is kind of hard to. It's gonna be hard to gank the Ari once she hits 6, and even can be early. And even bot lane, once they get their ultimates with the Lulu, can be hard. But they do have a lot of lockdowns, so I'd say Vi would really want to focus more so bot side to actually get those Drakes and close out the game with their team comp.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna see plenty of action early here in the around the first dragon.
Definitely.
About to
I'll
eat
be
my words on that one.
yeah, literally dragon spawns, and we're waiting 3 minutes, going on 5 for.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a slight break here as we wait for the spectator delay. So we'll be right back in 2 minutes and 48 seconds.
All right. So we're back now, and we are on the map, and it looks like both teams are going to start off with 5 pointing. So, nothing too fancy early on. No invades, which excites me, and hopefully the whole entire audience.
Pretty understandable for game one, though. Kind of want to play it slow, feel out the other team. You don't know a lot of these players you haven't played before.
Oh,
They'll
but
be
come
outfitted.
on. It's fun watching invades, is it not?
I'm ready to see Shin and Cho'Gath hit each other for about 5 minutes.
Both with hearts still going ding, ding.
Little
All right, looks
invade
like.
here to get vision on Raptors.
Oh, nope, not Raptors, but actually red
Oh,
instead.
man. Interesting.
And then Ari's walking in a little too deep maybe here. Cho'Gath barely misses his Q. And she ended up getting the ward on the Raptors without taking too much damage here. So now both teams got vision of their enemies' respective camps, so we'll see if they can keep track of the junglers from those wards.
Well, as this starts, before we get into the earnest of it, as they go through their early level ones. Oh. Let's
Side
see.
looked like it start. Oh, the cheese a little bit. Nautilus lands the auto. That gives a stun, and Lulu's getting dangerously low. Nautilus lands the hook. Oh, and forcing Lulu to flash there. And Varus actually ended up getting low himself. I didn't actually pay that much attention to that.
No
but-
summoners spent on red side, though. So overall, a win for red.
Yes.
But yeah, as I was saying, money where your mouth is. Who do you think's winning this game when all is said and done?
I think SPG will pull the win out, in my opinion. I just believe that team comps, usually win games. So if played right, I believe they'll pull this one out.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I do think there are some win conditions for BushWookies, though. Obviously, got to play the game, find out. But
I mean, team comp it doesn't always win games, but it generally does. But maybe there's always win cons for each team.
all right, getting that wet noodle in the top lane. Let's go.
That Cho'Gath pushing in really early, but it doesn't matter because, well, Sinzal's actually on blue side, so maybe we'll see a gank here top side.
Vi pathing towards bot. Lulu is without flash, so Nautilus could set up that gank, so we might see a little bit of combined action.
It would be really good if I actually came bot here, because with a Lulu flash down, that does provide the perfect opportunity for Lulu to die here, and then SPG to pick up a free kill. Furthermore, BushWookies is pushing in, so we are going to get the Vi gank possibly bot.
I think they might have sensed it. They were a little aggressive for having no minions, so I think they sensed that.
Yeah. And Shin lands the taunt on the Cho'Gath, getting major damage because of the bust from his Q.
Might see that extend later in the game. So every level, it's actually buffed a little bit more. So I think at level 5, it's like 3.5% of max health, something like that. So it's actually pretty significant.
Getting quite a bit of poke out from Varus and a little bit from Lulu on each side. So we got bot lane here with red side pushing. Ooh. So I'm actually still surprised that they were. I mean, I guess you're right. They did push really hard and back off as soon as they pushed. So I was actually hoping to see the Vi actually land a kill there. They didn't have any vision there on the side of BushWookies when Vi ganked.
Yeah, I think just in bot lane, you have your senses tingle a little bit when the enemy supports face tanking 4 minions to be like, ooh, look at me. And I suspect that's what they were feeling.
All right, another top from Shin landing big damage from his Q again, and back to bot lane. Said Nautilus trying to walk up to actually get that passive auto, but he ends up going a little too far, forcing the flash of Varus. Varus has to flash as well. Looks like Nautilus is going to go down, and Xayah's going to flash the Varus, and Varus is going to bury her right before just gets out. Xayah almost getting the kill on Varus there.
Really well played by BushWookies there, and then obviously really well played by Varus to hold that barrier to bait out that flash, but that should be an early dragon for BushWookies here. And you know, I think we'll see a fight come topside when Krugs spawn here, and not Krugs,
Grubs.
Grubs. Thank you. Blanked on that one. When Grubs spawn here in a couple minutes, but they should give this up. Red side's pushed in, so there's not really a chance for a cross map.
Yeah, with the you know, the new changes where Dragon spawns way earlier compared to the Grubs now. I kind of hate that in the way because I used to like how you could trade objectives on the sides. You know, at least each team would get an objective, but now it's just, you know, it's all fight bot lane early and then go for the Grubs right after. So it's kind of very. I feel like it's very bot lane oriented early game now.
Yeah, as a support man that does not like being 4-man ganked on repeat, I'm not a huge fan of that change.
So just looking like normal lane so far. You know, Young coming in, getting a little charm from Ari. So a little poke here and there. Nautilus trying to land a hook, a long range hook on Lulu.
Yeah, I would
But-
say in terms of the power level in the bot lane, you would expect Lulu to be a little bit stronger until about level 3, and then Nautilus is pretty strong until level 6 or 7.
And Vi coming there. And Lulu's dangerously low. Oh, looks like Lulu's gonna die from the Nautilus CC there. So Lulu kind of actually went up a little too far in my opinion, and ended up paying the price for it. Xin Zhao invading Red's SPG to get the red, steal it from Vi. I wonder if Vi will actually make a counter invade and take his red.
They do have pretty good vision for it. I'd like to see it. They are auto pushing. I feel like after you get that kill, you can sort of zone off the wave a little bit. I guess they want the back timer.
Yeah.
We'll go up here towards Void Grubs.
Said if they could have got the back timer off, that would have provided the perfect opportunity for Nautilus to actually make that roam to the Void Grubs, and you know, maybe actually win it. But I am now seeing Vice just sticking bot side, like, you know, I was talking about. You know, pretty much doing a vertical jungle here with Vi staying on the bot side and Xin Zhao kind of leaning towards the top side. And we look like a.
If I'm blue, I'm going Void Grubs right now.
Yes, definitely.
This is an illegal play by the jungler.
Said Shin actually pushing R to come into the fight, and TP on the side of Light is a little too late, and it looks like they're almost 4-manning bot lane on the side of SPG, so that gives the Xin Zhao the perfect opportunity to take Grubs, and SPG is getting a little low, and Zaps just ends up dying. And Shin taunts. Yes, so this is that early game that I talked about, where, you know, BushWookies does have that opportunity to actually win early, where, you know, not SPG, but BushWookies has that opportunity to, you know, win early game fights, and, you know, they really want to close this game out early, and this Void Grubs will actually help with that. But, you know, SPG just needs to slow things down and actually, you know, take it one step at a time and get to their late game where they have the better team fighting and the better scaling and all that.
Yeah, Lulu's sitting on close to 3,000 gold, so we'll see the first enchanter item come out, and then, you know, we're at 9 minutes, so a little bit we'll see that the Dream Maker come out from Lulu, and at that point, I don't think there's a single chance where red side can fight Xayah in the bot lane. So we might see a lot more aggression come out of BushWookies on the bot side of the map here. Once Dreamweaver comes in with the first enchanter item, they should come in about the same time.
I do gotta say, you know, Eli Senpai coming down with that Shinar to actually, you know, cover bot lane despite the 4-man gank was really great of him, like a great opportunity for him, allowing the Xin Zhao to take the Grubs. That was really, you know, perfect play from them.
Yeah, and it looks like actually, I thought they would lose turret plates for that, but it looks like he's sitting on 5 turret plates top still.
Yeah, while Cho'Gath does have quite a bit of push power, I don't think it is to, well, actually it should be to the point where if he max Q that he should be doing it, but
this might be bad for Cho'Gath.
yeah, Shin did get 2 kills from bot lane, so, you know, he is really strong right now, so he just keeps, you know, slowing Cho'Gath by pulling his Q through him and, you know, taunting him and just literally running him down at this point.
Well, let's go forward like 20 minutes here. Shin's in a side lane. He's 3-0 now. Obviously, he's a little bit down in CS because he came bottom. But I don't know who they have outside of Yone getting ahead to stop Shin in the side.
Even with Yone ahead, I think it'd be still Shin favored because Shin's what would you call it? Area of effect where it negates the
Yeah, it's W.
his W.
Run wild.
That Ari using her R to actually kind of go in and get a little bit more poke off on the Yone.
Should have Prio and bot and mid here. I would look to see BushWookies get this dragon. So if I'm red side, I would be sending multiple people top to try to get a shutdown on Shen right now, because I don't think you're going to be getting this. Maybe you can do the same on Ari.
We're gonna get the Vi R and the Yon R off on the Ari. Ari has no R, so it should be a free kill, and it is. But we got the side of BushWookies coming 3-man mid to try to save the Ari, but it's unfortunately a little too late. But it looks like they are going to either look bot side to kill the Varus Nautilus, or no, yeah, they're gonna take the Varus Nautilus. Maybe they'll get a pick here, you know. And it looks like Nautilus and Varus are gonna get out. Ooh, Nautilus misses the Q onto the Lulu Zaya.
Ari does have
Okay.
TP, so we might just see a big brawl down here.
Yes, especially a dragon out. Vi's bot side as well, looking to get that dragon hiding in the bush, waiting for that time. Nautilus is getting dangerously low, and the Ari is TPing like you said. So we do have a scattered SPG with BushWookies all grouped on the Drake, so great for them. Looks like they are going to secure this Drake here. And
They did get a kill mid, but I would have liked to see the shutdown on Shen, because honestly, all that happened was you delayed the dragon a little bit, because Ari still got
Yes.
back. In terms of like tempo for the game, I don't think you really got a ton out of that kill.
what I think what I would like to see is, like you said, instead of trying to go to the top side for SPG, I guess when they saw the Xin Zhao was it no Vi? I can't think right now. Huh. But we got Varus Aring and Lulu Aring the Zaya to keep her alive, and Varus getting dangerous. So Shin Arzen comes in and taunts the Varus, and then Nautilus is getting dangerous low. They're gonna just tire dive the Nautilus, and he's gonna die as well. Double kill for the Zaya.
That's a huge Shin ult. I didn't even see it. It was hidden by the Lulu shield, so I don't know if that was intentional, but either way, incredibly well timed.
That we may not have just predicted, because usually Shinar has that little hum to it that actually, you know, lets you know that Shin's coming, but you are correct. I didn't even know that the Shin was Aring with the Lulu shield up.
Yeah, I know this Shin pick is sort of taking over the game thus far.
Sad. We are seeing that Titanic Hydra, like I said, and I bet you Shin will probably 1v2 here if the Vi does go on him. So there is no reason for the Vi to be ganking here, in my opinion. But maybe Vi should hold the wave for the Cho'Gath while he gets his reset, so they're not losing too many platings to the Shin.
We got Rift Herald in a minute and a half.
Nautilus lands the hook on the Lulu. Lulu's getting dangerous low. So is Varus. Varus and the pullback on the feathers to kill the Varus, and it looks like they're just going to walk the Nautilus down. Maybe the Nautilus will be able to queue out. Yone is coming down to save him, and he R's, and he misses the Zaya, and the Lulu ults from the Zaya. And it's just not looking very good for the side of SPG. Ari lands the Charmer Nautilus and just gets the kill on Nautilus with her Q coming back through him. And it looks like BushWookies are going to take that. And Vi coming down to just take, and he cancels the Q.
Oh, there's a flash. This is diveable.
Very diveable. I think the Vi should have left here, and the Vi is going to get dove here after the tower dies. The Vi ults the Zaya, and Zaya is just going to end up dying.
This is what I was talking about, where the Lulu versus Nautilus matchup goes. Once you get that first enchanter item, it's just not even close. Lulu's just provides so much more value. If you're Nautilus here, you have to provide your value before level 7, get your AD carry ahead. Otherwise, it's almost unplayable. And it's really one of the more unfortunate feelings of support, because all you can do for the rest of the game is pretty much go in and die. And hope your team gets value from it.
Yeah. It is a little hard on the side of SPG now, but I do think that if they can just hold out low, out into about 30 minutes in the game, maybe even 35, they may actually be able to pull this game back. They are only 5k down, not too much of a deficit in my opinion, so maybe we'll see them come back here.
Let's run.
and Nautilus lands a Q on Ari, and the Varus R comes through, and the auto, and it's just a annihilation on the Ari. The Ari just stepped too far forward under the tower, and it just a CC chain from Gray and Sir Longstride.
Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay, but they do get a crucial bounty, objective bounty there. Answered with the turret mid. This should be a kill too.
Yes, just taking the turret and just pretty much Zaya autoing him to death with the Lulu having Ardent Sensor, just that increased, auto attack speed. It's just great for Zaya, especially when she's able to pull her feathers back.
And Dreamweaver as well. That's double enchanter items done. Zaya is so strong right now.
Yeah, and it looks like just BushWookies are just going to take this Herald and having control of almost all the objectives here. That's it. And drag spawning here in about 40 seconds. So maybe we'll see a team fight here. Maybe SPG will actually decide to just give it up and focus topside. I'd like to see that, where they take the chance to give us up, go get that shut down top like you've been saying, or even maybe look for a pick mid and try to go for the dragon. But I think I'd rather see this Shin go down and focus topside.
Shin does have his ult. He's recalling. Make sure he buys before this fight. If there's a fight here, I'd be shocked if there was a fight here. I'd be like, this would be a macro misplay.
Yes, we are seeing, the Vi and Nautilus kind of walk in trying to get vision, make sure they're not starting it yet. But I don't think it will even matter because, I think BushWookies can just, start this fight at any time they want and come out on top. But we'll see what happens.
I would like this to be played slow, though. And I feel like starting early is a bit of a choice here.
The Ari just dashing onto the Varus, charming him, but she just doesn't have the damage, and the Nautilus and Varus end up tag teaming the Ari. And here we go. We got BushWookies securing the dragon, and it just fights all around. We got
Zaya is untouched.
Zaya being untouched, yeah. And then we also got Shin just damaging the Cho'Gath in the top lane. So, they did end up picking. Well, all they got was the Ari, so pretty much it was just a one-sided fight in the drag pick after the Ari died.
Yeah, I think that's a macro misplay. I really don't think you can go for that dragon there. Unfortunately, you have to try to get something across the map, an objective bounty top after a shutdown, something like that. But the fact that they had Rift Herald, and such a huge lead, if I'm BushWookies, I wouldn't have started that right away. I think you keep bot and mid shoved out, and then use Rift Herald to pull them away from dragon. You can essentially guarantee you get a hit on a tower, and you get the dragon uncontested if you play it slower.
Well, on the side of SPG, if that didn't happen, I would say that they just take the Herald and end up focusing topside and mid, and maybe I wouldn't even really have one person go bot lane. The only reason I have somebody go bot lane is if the wave was hitting the tower. So they would just they wouldn't get that free charge, in my opinion, because they shouldn't even been focusing the Drake. I think they just needed to give it up and cut their losses so far.
Looks like we got Atacon spawning in the bot lane in about a minute. SPG's made some good inroads on vision ahead of things. Obviously, as BushWookies has come in, they've cleared it out ahead of the last dragon, but you'd like to see a little bit of that vision choke coming out of BushWookies here if you're gonna control this with as low risk as possible.
I would like to see SPG for this Otacon actually clear this vision and then set up a pick somewhere a cheese in one of the bushes. It's kind of hard when they've been split some of these fights.
They have an excellent chance here.
Yes, I would like to see them sit in the tri-bush, but they kind of backed off the objective before it even happened. So I think they're just looking to maybe end up giving up this objective. Maybe they try to kill the Zaya mid, get that 700 gold bounty on her, instead of going for the Otacon.
Yeah, I mean, we're pushing a 7,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. That's a little rough in terms of winning any actual team fights. So,
and they're side of BushWookies is playing it slow, just clearing the vision, and playing a little bit too back. I think they really want to be playing a little bit more forward here. They have the advantage. I think they want to force this advantage while they have it. So they actually are starting to come back in, and it looks like they're going to clear the newly set wards on the side of SPG out. And Zaya ends up starting the Otacon. And
We're gonna see our fight. Here comes the TP from Cho'Gath.
so it is going to be a team fight. Shin does have his R up, so probably going to end up fighting. Looks like BushWookies is just going to get off it so they don't get that, done. And Zaya's going to end up canceling Vizar, and then it just looks like SPG is going hard on him. And Zaya is shut down by the Yone, and it looks like SPG may pull this out in the team fight. We got Shin taking a kill on Yone, and then Vi coming back and Shin. So they got a lot of shutdowns here. This is the point in time where I talked about where, SPG just had that better team fight, and they actually utilized it well. Maybe the missing factor is that Cho'Gath just wasn't in these fights yet.
Could be. I do think Shin misplayed a little bit there. The ult went on to Xin Zhao instead of Zaya. Because I really think the only way that BushWookies loses is if Zaya dies, so like that has to be the only person you can ult.
That RA is trying to, put some damage down. It looks like she's not gonna stay close enough to actually do any more damage, and the Otacon does end up going to SPG. This is a big help to them. That more, what was it? XP, more adaptive force, 25% more adaptive force, as well as the 15% health on damage when you kill a champion. So that will put them back in the game, and they're now only down like 3k here. So I think this is the chance for SPG to come back. They can definitely look to fight this fourth Drake here. If BushWookies takes it, that would be soul for them. But we'll see who denies, if they can deny it or not.
TP, double TP.
And the Nautilus lands the hook on. The Zins are ours, so it doesn't get damaged too much. And the Zaya pulls through the Feather Sewer, stunning the Varus and Nautilus. And Varus ends up getting the kill on this Zinzao. And it just looks like Vi is going to CC both the Ari and the Lulu. And it looks like they're going to run down the Zaya as well. Zaya's going to art and flashes and pulls through and gets a kill on Nautilus. But is it enough? Does she have enough? And she's just doing hella damage to the Vi, and Vi dies. But they are also going to take Zaya out as well. So 3 left on the side of SPG to the 1 on BushWookies. This is coming back to the point where the late game is starting to, slowly pull in for SPG, and the early game is dying out for BushWookies. And they are going to deny this soul for BushWookies, getting their first Drake of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to come down, can they get to the Zaya or not? And so far the answer has been a resounding yes.
And you got to see Varus is making that 8-3 right now, making that comeback and carrying his team into that late game. So they definitely play, putting it on the ADCs this game.
So crucially, double teleport down from BushWookies. Cho'Gath's about to have his up. Obviously, Shin still has his R. So I think we're gonna get to do it all again around Baron here in a minute.
Yeah, and despite the Shin, being up kills on the Cho'Gath is actually leveled over the Shin. So that's probably the fact that he's been staying in lane and grabbing the CS more than Shin has.
Yep, double R bottom.
Not much happening right now. They're just clearing waves and waiting for this next objective to come up, which would be Baron here in about a few seconds. Looks like SPG is going to, start walking towards it a little bit with the Vi Nautilus. Var's just going to clear mid wave. And Cho'Gath.
Leandri's just got completed by Ari, so given the lack of defensives on the Cho'Gath, that may actually start mattering a little bit.
Yes. We will see if it makes a difference in the coming team fight. I'm I'm wondering if Rod of Ages is still the thing to go with RA, and despite the nerfs. What do you think?
I still think it provides a lot of value, even with the nerfs. I mean, a lot of the value of it comes from the mana and the sustain. Early, it's just a really safe laning tool.
We are looking like BushWookies is going to start the Baron. They must have seen Vi bot or something, and they're just starting it early, hoping to secure it before the Vi gets there. The Vi is actually really late to this. She is just now hitting the midway. It looks like BushWookie is going to actually secure the Baron. They made a great call. You know, I don't know how they knew Vi was on the bot side.
I think a Vi E showed on a ward on the bot side while she was clearing a camp.
That must have what set BushWookies to just immediately start it. I am surprised they pulled it through, and I think SPG should have literally, you know, came in and tried to actually pull them off of it. But they were really kind of spread out, so it would have been hard to really do anything there. But you know, they do have the time to wait.
Yeah, really smart back from Shin there. Doesn't let any cross map happen. Obviously, has the buff. Makes it nice and easy. Ari's starting to dish out a good chunk of damage now.
Dead. Looking like Shin has the gold lead on the top side, and jungle being about even, and we got Yon actually pulling ahead about 2k on the Ari, and bot lane's pretty even. The Nautilus is down gold over the Lulu. Not surprising seeing the Lotus has more kills and assists, and the Fire's going to R on to the Xin Zhao, and the Nautilus going to land on the Xin Zhao. Xayah pulling through the feathers, stunning the Vi Nautilus, and Shin R'ing the Xin Zhao, and Shin comes in and misses the taunt. Xayah going hard on the Vars Nautilus, and then everybody coming back to save their teammates. Xayah ending up R'ing just to stay alive. Lulu R's the Xayah, and Yon lands the knock-up Q on the side. It looks like BushWookies is going to slowly pull us out. Oh, the Xin Zhao just ends up dying really quick. Maybe, it looks like BushWookies may slowly pull us out. Vars actually ended up killing, well, who was that? The RA. So they're slowly backing out. Xayah is just way more health. Shin ended up going on Vars, getting the kill, and it's just Cho'Gath left, and they have Baron buff up. We will see if they decide to go for the push. Maybe they can end it. It will be hard. Maybe.
I thought you had to leave the Xin Zhao there, but I mean, as we said earlier, if you don't get to the Xayah, you lose the fight. They did not get to the Xayah.
I think it was just an overextension by the Xin Zhao.
Yeah.
Nautilus up in 5 seconds, and then from there, Yon up in 15. They are pushing. BushWookies is pushing hard to end. We will see what happens. Xayah does have a lot of damage. They look like they're going to just play it safe and get back. It is so hard to make a decision.
You can just run straight to Dragon right now. I think that's the safer play.
Even if they do run straight to Dragon, all of side of SPG would be up, and so they got to make this quick back with Baron buff. Xin Zhao's going to run to it as well, so they are going. Looks like BushWookies is going to be a little late. Xin Zhao already starting it.
You can't start this now.
No, he's got to back off of it. If they can pull out another good team fight, though, that everybody kind of wasted their abilities in this early fight, and it looks like SPG is going to start it real quick, and BushWookies is not quite formed up yet. The Dragon's going down fast. I would like to see BushWookies kind of push this fight here, and it look to end. And it looks like they're just kind of traveling in parallel here, with SPG going through the jungle, and BushWookies making it a run to hit this inhib maybe. It's going to end up giving them a lot of gold if they get this double inhib, so that would definitely allow SPG to come back in the game. BushWookies really needs to look to, push to end the game here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, Shinar's almost up, teleports up. I think you can pretty easily let Super Minions shove one, Shin in another, 4 people stacked in the other. I don't see any reason why you can't play this slow and take down that third inhib.
It is nearing the 30-minute mark, and like I said, once it gets closer to 30 minutes, SPG I think would start, coming alive a little bit more. We will see. I'm surprised Cho'Gath kind of actually went more of an AP build, actually starting to kind of build into a tank a little bit more. Looks like SPG is going to get that mid lane tower finally to come down. Vars owing the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao presses R to get away from it. Vi R'ing the Xin Zhao. It looks like Xin Zhao is just going to be deleted. Vi barely missing the Q on Ari. And Nautilus just short of the Ari on the Q. It is now delayed even further. I just think, they should have played it a little safer, waited to form up, and then honestly pushed top while Shin actually stayed on the bot side.
Yeah,
With,
I think you let mid shove on its own, shouldn't shove on the bot side. Play it slow, but we got Baron in a minute. There's no reason why you can't control the jungle here in terms of vision with 2 inhibs down.
Cho'Gath gonna be picking up that farm bot lane, getting a lot of, gold here. I don't know if that'll be any good on Cho'Gath. We will see. But maybe he does. Shin has TP, still about half his waiting on half his cooldown there. Just gonna charm the Nautilus and pick up and Nautilus kill after the feathers come through, stunning the Nautilus. And it leaves, SPG down support, and they could just look to end here. They do not have a wave top lane just yet to actually take down this tower. It looks like SPG is going to just clear this mid wave, and Cho'Gath's going to back. I think the BushWookies are just going to take this tower and look to get the 3rd inhib on this from this next inhib tower here.
Fall back straight to Baron, but I think they have the pressure. They can get the inhib.
Yeah, they can get the inhib. Even if Cho'Gath keeps pushing, Cho'Gath is really not a split push person, and then they might even try to look to force it here, or are they going to play it safe? They see the Cho'Gath is bottom. R's to get the charm, but barely misses it. Varus R's in the Xin Zhao. R'ing, and the R ends up somehow coming up on Ari, and they kill Ari. Zai is going to come fall. Zai is going to press R. Nautilus coming in, but just getting deleted by Zai. And if they play a little bit slower, and Shogun is just going to R the Zaya and just end up killing it. And they have no more damage on the side of BushWookies. They are going to fall.
Yeah, I don't know that they go for it in there. Obviously, if the Ari dashes in and hits the Varus with the charm, like, the game's over. So I don't, like, fault the play. But I think the safer play is just to back off once you get triple inhib, then just choke out vision, get Baron, and then walk it in for the win.
Yes.
But
that Cho'Gath is starting to get really tanky, and just be able to walk in and not have too much to really worry about, even with the Zaya. Varus getting dangerously low with the Baron, but I think he's going to end up pulling it out. Yep. And it looks like the entire team of SPG does get the Baron, and this would be the 6th Drake of the game, about to spawn here in about 40 seconds.
Should have huge waves pushing in all lanes, so like no reason to.
Well, the inhib did just spawn on bot side for SPG. I would like to see BushWookies take this Scuttle Crab here. It's really big vision, and as well as that movement speed right in the center that could help out your team. It does look like SPG's kind of tied up top lane. Maybe this soul that's in 10 seconds here. BushWookies do staging a kind of a cheese here, and they're just gonna go on the Varus. Varus ends up flash. Varus ults the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao just looks like he's gonna fall. He gets ulted by the Lulu. Viola ults it looks like Ari. Ari getting low. So is pretty much everyone on the BushWookies, but BushWookies is just doing really good. Cutting. Oh, big feathers pulled through. And it looks like they get a triple kill. I wouldn't even worry about Drake. I think if I'm on the side of BushWookies, I would actually just go straight for the end. But
TP, he could TP towards all. They don't have a ward up there.
They got 30 seconds on the Nautilus. That's the closest person they got up, and it's just 2 people left on the side of SPG. They look like they might try to end. They still got Baron on SPG. I can't tell how long they have left. Yone taking a lot of damage, going down about half health.
That Shin is not even a little scared of the Yone.
Yeah. They have no wave here, so it looks like they're just going to take wave, and Vi will be up in 15 seconds. Nautilus coming up just now. So they're back to the same point of that they have no waves to end this game out. Like, BushWookies really needs this wave because it's getting to the point in the game that SPG is just slowly trying to claw their way back in. They're actually SPG has actually ended up in gold lead right now, which actually is starting to become not become not really much of anything. Gold is actually becoming useless because everybody is finishing out their items. So it really would like to see BushWookies close out the game here. Not any objectives up for at least 3.5 minutes. So, they have a lot of time to, make a pick or something and just close out the game. They got 3 inhibs down. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Baron buff should be falling off the last little bit here in just a few seconds. So 3 inhibs down. I think you just take time, do this properly. 1-3-1, you've got double teleport, Shinar. Well, I guess they don't actually have double teleport.
Not us channeling Hex Flash goes in, but it doesn't get close enough really, and our Charm did land, but not much enough for a pick, and you... Looks like Shin is kind of going a little too far. Varus ended up wasting his art on the Shin. Shin just taunted himself out of it.
Yeah, this looks... is the in and out you have to do here.
So this looks like to be a prime opportunity for BushWookies to end the game with Varus R down. They don't have that nice area of effect to do anything.
You just in and out until that third wave crashes. It's coming, and then at that point you'll be overwhelmed.
Varus spell shield down. Zaya clearing bot wave with Arya trying to kill mid lane.
Varus R should be down for about 30 seconds once that last wave hits there at the top side. So they'll push with that last one. It does look like that tower's about to come back up.
And actually Varus R is almost up here in about 5 more seconds. And it is back up now. And they did land the Charm of Cho'Gath. It's not too good. It just looks like, SPG is just clearing the waves as fast as they can. They are doing a great job holding on. It is just slow and steady. We'll see who comes out in the end. I have yet to see a team fight. I'm begging for a team fight to happen here. I am ready to see something happen. So, there's nothing happening for at least another minute and a half. BushWookies could take the chance to go to Baron instead of push this tower here, but we'll see if they can make this team fight. Vi walking a little far forward. The Zaya, Vi ended up dying. Zaya's still pretty healthy, and it looks like
untouched.
Yep, and this now got ulted by the Lulu. Cho'Gath just getting deleted when walking in, and Gray ends up dying on the forest right outside of Zanya's, and it's just the Nautilus left. Nautilus queues in with some desperation, not much to do. And it looks like BushWookies will clean game here. BushWookies played really well to their comp, I gotta say. They actually surprised me.
Yep, it's very well played. In-game macro was on point there. All you had to do was wait once you had all 3. And, once you get all 3 inhibs, like, really the minions count as like a 6th person, because there's just so many of them. They block skill shots, they eat damage, and there's nothing you can do. So you just play it slow, wait for the overcommit that's bound to happen. And yeah, I mean, it's unwinnable. I was surprised by a couple things in that lane. I did not think Shen would win so hard so early. I sort of thought that would be a little bit of a wet noodle for a while until Shin got ahead top, but he got ahead top off that R to the bot lane where he picked up a couple kills. So he was a huge impact. And in the bot lane, Nautilus versus Lulu, Nautilus should win that until about level 7. And that just didn't happen. So at that point, it's an awful feeling to be that Nautilus support, because all you can do is just die for the rest of the game, and I think we saw that play out. So I'm interested to see how they change their strategy in game 2.
With looks like we'll see what BushWookies ends up drafting now that they kind of drafted that insane keep the ADC alive, with the tank, with the the Shinar, the Lulu with her R and the shielding coming through, Xin Zhao not being able to target it too much by ranged players because of his ultimate. We'll see what they end up drafting now that those champs are no longer available.
Yeah, also really well played by the Lulu in that comp where there's a lot of dive and a lot of AoE damage. It's pretty easy to get picked off and sort of womboed with all the rest. The fact that they died so few times while doing Enchanter and huge shields and the ult and everything, that is not the easiest thing in the world into a dive comp.
That I do think, the one thing that SPG kind of lacked is that, and while they did have range with the forest, I think they really needed that long range mage to probably, poke out these fights just as, before they could, engage with their, their big tanks. Maybe we'll see them actually pull in with a mage that does have those long range abilities instead of a Yone.
It's a very interesting game. Cool to see the draft versus the execution play out there.
Um,
Appreciate it.
Alrighty, and said we're waiting for both teams to ready up for game 2 of the draft flow. Said, kind of talked about what we'd like to, you know, see from SPG, and and what do you think BushWookies is going to end up drafting this game?
Yeah, I think the Ari is. I think it was a concentrated strategy to get Ari Jin Zhao to be strong middle. So I suspect we'll see another sort of concentrated effort to have mid be strong early, and then get carried by bot lane. So I suspect we'll still see a hyper carry on the side of BushWookies. If you're SPG, maybe you look to try to ban that out instead of throwing 3 bans at top lane that didn't really amount to much of anything.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
like they are still banning about the same thing. BushWookies ended up banning the Lulu this time.
I'm not
Uh,
surprised. Lulu is a monster in competitive.
and it seems like SPG didn't really change much of their bans, banning 2 tanks and the Victor. And it looks like BushWookies is going to pick up Braum. Braum being a really, uh, strong pick with, his passive and, the shield to block a lot of range damage. Not to mention the AoER.
Yeah,
And,
he's a very good blind support pick. He can be a lane bully early and then has a ton of value with his E late. I'm a big fan of going 2 or 3 points into Q and then maxing E, so you can block as much damage late. Because by the time the second dragon happens when you're on support, you're looking at sort of like a level 11 usually. So you get to max one ability and have 2 or 3 points in another.
yes. And it looks like SPG is going to pick up the Xin Zhao this time around. Xin Zhao is actually a pretty strong champion. I I really like that champion on the jungle myself, but I don't play jungle that much, so I don't tend to pick it up.
Yeah,
And
he's really, really strong right now. I don't love Alistar into Braum. Alistar is my favorite champion. So me saying I don't love Alistar into Braum is from experience.
what
You do your
actually
combo
is?
go in and then you get stunned trying to go away.
I see. So can you not just W the Rum away and kind of walk out without him hitting anything, or is it just not
Well,
that simple?
it's just that you can't use your Alistar engage combo into a Braum, because if you use it into a Braum, if Braum gets a single auto attack off, you get stunned, and then like the trade sort of evens out. If you can get the combo off without the Braum getting an auto attack or a Q, then it's not so bad.
And I
But
am seeing that on the side of Bushwickies, that strong early top lane with Renekton, and even Zach having that nice plenty of CC, early game survivability.
Eli is well known for his Renekton. I think it's his favorite champion. So excited to get to see Eli Senpai Renekton. McKinnon versus Renekton, that can be a little rough for Renekton.
Yeah, Kennen is a really safe top laner that you don't have to really play, too aggressive with Kennen, but you can make a lot of poke, and I think it will be hard for Renekton to actually be able to get into Renekton. But I do gotta say, if the Renekton is able to get on top of the Kennen, it becomes a nightmare for the Kennen.
Ash is the 6th ban here. I'm not sure if Dinner plays a lot of Ash or not. At the current moment, I'm not a huge fan of Ash in the bot lane. Obviously, it has good pick potential, but in terms of high damage AD carries, it just
That I
isn't.
think it's more for those teams that are trying to play for utility rather than and it's utility ADC with more of your carries being mid lane and even jungle or top, rather
But I
than
think, yeah, I think if you see Zach Renekton, you know that AD carry is going to be a hyper carry. So I don't love that 6th ban on Ash, to be quite frank. It feels a
yes,
bit wasted.
it looks like they may pick up the Phileas, a really late game ADC. Back to what you said of looking to play those carry ADCs, picking that strong mid to maybe even top side. It looks like BushWookies is going to have to blind their mid laner unless Kennen's actually going to end up mid lane into the SPG. And it looks like it may be an Ori, which with the Zac being able to jump in, that it provides, pretty good uh, delivery of her ball to get that ultimate.
It's also
And
really
we
good shields for Aphelios. So Aphelios Braum is a really strong lane. I think it definitely has an advantage over Alistar Kaisa. So if you're looking for BushWookies to win, you'd really want to see Aphelios Braum play well early and get ahead. If you're SPG, if you go even in the bot lane, I think you take that as a win. And I think you see the reverse, the flip side in the top. If Renekton goes even, I think that's a win for BushWookies because Kennen should bully him out. But if Kennen's ahead, you can really take over and do a ton of AoE damage on Kennen.
that I'm actually surprised to see a Veigar pick here. I mean, I'm not too sure how often Veigar's played in competitive play, or even more, you know even lower down here. But Veigar does have that late game scaling. Got the lockdown with Cage, and if they have lockdown on Cage, then you got that Ken and R able to come in and you get a stun on everybody.
Yeah, I
With
mean, it does. The cage does create space. So does Alistar. So does Xin Zhao ult. I feel like I'd like to see something with a little bit more synergy with Kennen, but Vygar Cage does have its utility, especially with Alistar. I love Alistar Vygar interaction. Alistar can headbutt somebody into the cage and they stop right on the cage, so you don't have to do the combo. You headbutt, stop on the cage, smash the ground, they pop up. By the time they land, you have your E proc. So it is a very devastating combo, so I do like that synergy there.
Yeah. While I think this game I'm actually liking the side of BushWookies team comp this game. They got that nice tanky bruisery kind of top lane, and then they got plenty of damage for the affiliate from the Aphelios and Ori. So I kind of like their comp here more than I do the set of SPG.
I
But
do I do like their sort of curve. If you think about like some champions being strong early versus a late scaler, Aphelios hyper scaler, it's amazing late. Renekton's really strong early, so you have like one lane to carry the early game. Oriana's very good in the middle game, very good in the late too as well, for that matter. And then you have Aphelios for late. I really love that sort of curve in the way that they design their team to make sure that they have sort of all 3 sections of the game covered.
I think let's see, we're still in the first phase. Actually, the second ban phase here. Um, just waiting for them to, finish out their picks so we can get to that wonderful spectator delay we got.
If you were to see a win condition for SPG, what would it be?
I think both your Veigar and McKinnon are gonna need to build Leandries for one because they got quite a bit of tanks from Renekton, Zac, and Braum. And then I really would like to see SPG really utilize, some of the CCs between Kin and Vagar and, Vagar Alistar together. Or even keep creating space for the Kai'Sa if possible. Xin Zhao's great for creating that space, so as well as so is Alistar. Kinnan, I think, is more of a hard, good engage rather than what would you call it? Uh,
He's a good flanking engage. I
yeah,
believe if he comes in from the side unexpected, he can absolutely take out a carry. But if he's running at them head on, I don't expect he'll be able to get past Braum, Oriana,
yeah.
Renekton.
All right, so now we are off to spectator delay, and
So
I think
we'll
we'll
take
go
our
ahead.
3-minute break and come back when the game goes live.
All right, getting into game with BushWookies being 1 and SPG being 0. We'll see if BushWookies will, pull out a win here to make it 2-0, or if SPG will take it back and make it even. And it looks like we're going to go back to another standard 5-point. Bring on the invades, please.
You're on the
Yeah.
opposite side of the bracket as me, right?
I believe so. I'm on actually, great. This was a BushWookies and SPG's side of the bracket, so that'd be the, I think, lunar side, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, no handshake agreement that we would invade.
Uh, And it looks like Zinjum is going to try getting a ward and end up deciding not to do it.
It was Jin Zhao that blocked him, so that does provide some level of information. You know, Jin Zhao's probably starting topside, work his way bottom. So if you're bot and you're the Braum, I'd really like to see you not use your trinket ward in the bush, especially since you're a stronger side on the lane. Try to make sure you get it into that try or dot right around like 3-ish minutes, sort of as Jin Zhao's coming down. Obviously, you don't know for certain, but that's what I'm thinking about in terms of warding when I get that little bit of information from Jin Zhao being there.
And gonna start off slow here with a little bit of poke from BushWookies. Looks like SPG kind of won that poke out early on. And Renekton ended up getting on top of Kennen, starting off with that E, and Kennen just gonna end up walking back with him and autoing it. So I do think this top lane matchup, you know, if Renekton's able to keep getting on top of Kennen like he is and getting that, you know, W stun while Kennen E's, that really is bad for Kennen, and Kennen can, you know, end up losing from that. But if Kennen's able to space properly and, you know, keep his spacing, he'll end up coming out ahead after poking out Renekton for a bit. And it looks like Braum's gonna get
so this is what makes Alistar so rough there. Obviously, that trade still went in the favor because Ignite went down, but it feels awful to play on Alistar. Ignite does go down for red side bottom, so something worth watching. But they do get the lane advantage. So where I was talking about that ward at 3 minutes, if I'm Braum, I'd like to see that go down right about now, either in the dot bush or the tri bush. If you're red side, you want to push to stop that from happening, which is what they did. So maybe that's the point of the Ignite early.
And it looks like Renekton dashes on Kennen and gets plenty of damage off on Kennen, while Kennen steady doing more damage than the Kennen, like I said. If Renekton's able to get his slice and dice on the Kennen while he's using his E. Felix going to come out with a stun, getting some pretty long range poke off.
Yeah, he's on the slightly weaker weapons right now, so if there's ever a chance for it, I'd like to see Jin Zhao go for it now. This is their opportunity. It looks like question mark pings from blue here, so they do know potentially that this is coming.
And Zinzao ends up flashing with the W to get it. Alistar as well, and Braum flashes out. And ooh, the triple stun from Aphelios on everybody, and Zaya really low. Looks like the minions may kill her, and they do. And Zinzao gets the stun from Braum passive on Alistar, and he's going to try walking down the Alistar, and just ends up killing him as well. And it looks like BushWookies are going to end up taking the 2-for-1 trade. And, you know, it's back to the point of, you know, that Aphelios is good really good late game and can possibly carry, so we'll see how that turns out. A little bit of poke coming out in the mid. Renekton dashing on and getting the stun during Kennen's E, and looking like he went out in the poke maybe just slightly, kind of even probably. And Zinzao coming behind the Ori, missing the W, but getting his E and a Q, orienting, having a flash, and gets out with the Braum there.
It was a good job to get the Ori flash out. That's the sort of one saving grace of that thing for red side. Red side, they had the opportunity. Obviously, very well played by Aphelios to get the 3-man stun. I feel like that was your best opportunity to get something going, and unfortunately, it did not. Aphelios is going to be on his stronger guns again all of a sudden, and
Braum kind of coming up too much alone. He ends up knocking out. Alistar ends up knocking backwards. Braum throws off the E and just negates a lot of Kai'Sa's damage. It looks like SPG is going to be the first to the objective here, with Zach standing close by to look like to take it, and it looks like everybody on the side of BushWookies is just going to rotate first, and it just is a hell amount of damage with Zach engaged in the Ori ultimate, and it looks like SPG is just going to fall to that combination. And Veigar ends up getting a cage onto the Ori and just barely trapping him to get the damage off to kill the Orianna.
Yeah, unfortunately, when Orianna's shoved up like that, you have Prio in mid lane, Vygar's on his back. I don't know that you can go for that. Obviously, that's a huge ultimate out of Orianna there. That's a very well done ultimate, but I think it was a greedy dragon positioning.
Yeah,
Especially after you invested time trying to harass Braum in the bot lane.
looks like BushWookies are going to pick up the first Drake. Speaking of that, I think, the common theme for Salt has kind of been pushing up a little bit too far on some of these fights, with the Ahri last game and even the Ori this game. And we're going to top lane fight here. Looks like both Kennen and Renekton are going to press R. Kennen going to R to get the stun multiple times on Renekton to get out. And it looks like neither is going to get anything from it. And we're having an engage from Xayah onto the Philios. Philios taking quite a bit of damage with a little bit on Xayah, Kaisa as well. And the push is going to be in favor of BushWookies.
Yeah, red-white Aphelios is very scary in terms of raw damage output.
Alistar and Braum kind of sitting in bushes trying to vie for power here. Renekton getting dangerously low top. And Alistar looks to make a play with here with the Hex Flash. He does. He gets the combo off onto the Philios. Braum blocking a lot of the damage from that. Kaisa getting low. Passive off on Xayah. And the Kaisa's going to fall before they can do enough damage to the Philios. And Philios is just going to clean up on the Alistar after the Kaisa has fallen. And I keep forgetting that it is not Xayah, it is Kaisa.
Yeah, that's a rough one. I don't know that you can ever really engage on Aphelios. I mean, it's a really good. I mean, they did really well given the context, but red-white Aphelios, when you're down a little bit in lane, is not the one that you want to engage on.
Yeah, it does look like BushWookies on bot side is just really strong right now. Kind of 6 death on the side of SPG, so they really need to kind of wait and look for these good engages rather than ones that are determined by BushWookies.
Yeah, if you're SPG, like you said, Orianna's been shoved up a lot. He does not have flash. I think you look for a pick here. They have Prio and top and mid. I think this Herald's gone. You're not going to kill them bottom. I think you have to go for a kill here on Orianna. It looks like Braum may be sniffing that out though, so nice vision here.
And it looks like Braum's going to have to flash out after Kaisa Ard. And going to walk out with no deaths happening between anybody. And not much poke happening either. Kennen just kind of really hurting the Renekton on poke out. And Renekton is trying to push this wave. Maybe looking to get a reset. He did first item the Merc Treads to deal with the constant CC. SPG maybe looking for I wouldn't say dive because they don't really have anything there, but they are kind of hovering around there, seeing if BushWookies will step up just slightly. Though, and Zach's going to gauge on the Veigar mid, getting the knockup and the ultimate knockup as well, and it just looks like they're going to finish out this and we got a top lane fight with Renekton and Kennen both Ring. Kennen getting damage off, so is Renekton, and it looks pretty even the fight. If Renekton can get on top of Kennen, it looks like it may be a kill for Renekton, but if Kennen keeps getting that poke out, maybe Kennen will pull out the top one fight. It has been close neck and neck top lane for Kennen and Renekton. So Renekton healing up from his Q and all the rage he's been stacking up on the minion wave. Philios coming out with some poke here.
Yeah, blue-green on Aphelios is really hard to dive because of the slow and the range. So they were looking at a dive earlier and they elected not to. And I think that's a good thing. He should be off of blue-green here, which means you might have a slight window for a shutdown. Depends how well they know Aphelios. He is definitely one of the trickier ones to keep track of, and when you can do things, when you can't. I still think the play is to go for Orianna mid here, though. That flash should be coming up soon. Oh no, it's just up. So
we got multiple points of action here. Bot lane's pushing in with the Aphelios, using blue gun to get that spray damage out, and then Xin Zhao taking his time to invade. Looks like Veigar and Ori. Renekton flash to try to kill the cannon. He dashes to get there. Cannon flashes out, get away, and it looks like going back to bot lane where Zaya's really low. Braum just walking at the Zaya, gets knocked up and is going to kill the Zaya, but Braum will also fall, and we'll see what happens to Alistar. Alistar ends up popping his ultimate. Zac taking Stranger's damage. Helios taking plenty of damage, really low, and he had a barrier to save himself from the minions. Alistar still alive, barely. Zac ended up losing passive. Zac ends up barely killing him, probably from the minion damage onto Alistar, and it looks like Helios barely survives. Oh, it's Aftershock. Wow. Is that Aftershock from the Zac while he was in passive? I did not know that actually went through fastest. And looking like a shutdown on the Ori from the Veigar. Xin Zhao ended up coming, ganking from the side and getting that nice gank on Ori.
If you're SPG, the bright side here, Veigar does get another kill. He does complete his Rod of Ages. So that would be nice to have for this dragon fight. Obviously, it's still a little bit of a long shot. We do have teleport up for Renekton for this fight, but not Kennen, potentially crucially.
And it looks like Veigar's going to go ahead and TP to this fight early, though SPG is stacked more than that. We are still in the top lane right now with Renekton going hard on Kennen, getting his W off in Q. It looks like Red is just going to secure the dragon here before anything can happen, so not much happening now.
It does well. It gives them a little bit of time so they don't stack souls so fast. It was a really good job to get in, do it fast, read the map, know the back timers of BushWookies, to know that you can sort of get away with a really fast dragon before they get back to contest.
Xin Zhao looking bot ended up clearing that control ward, and their Alistar popping sweep lens to clear the vision. And it just looks like Zac may be coming here to finally have some action top lane. He gets this slicing dice on the Kennen. Zac ults, Kennen R'ing to get away, but the Zac ends up landing his Q right there in base to get a kill. Aphelios landing a stun and just walking at the Alistar after talking about passive. Alistar R's to clear that CC. Braum landing another Q on Kai'Sa, trying to keep the fight alive, but they are just out. Xin Zhao coming down to gank, maybe getting something here. Aphelios with red white. Oh, switch white.
You can't do that. That's red white Aphelios. You can't do that.
And it looks like Aphelios is just going to up after that gauge right there by the tower.
Obviously, he swapped in the middle, but that's...
Yeah, it was originally red-white from the beginning of the fight, and then it turned to white-green.
Yeah.
And we did see Orianna pick up the close kill mid onto the Veigar.
And I also have to know from the previous engage that Braum did not have his ultimate, so taking turret aggro with Braum ultimate up is a little rough. I'd like to see bot lane slow it down on the side of SPG and stop the hemorrhaging, because right now you've got an 8-0 Aphelios who is about to have 2 items at 15 minutes, which is insane. It does not get much more fed than that.
Trying to engage on the Zac here top lane. Zac just propelling himself out. Aphelios looks like they're going to be switching up lanes. Aphelios is going to be heading top now after taking the bot lane tower. Renekton heading bot to clear the way that Kai'Sa pushed. And Ori staying mid. We do have Herald up, so maybe we'll see some action here in a minute. Looks like Braum's already getting vision for that. Zac kind of walking up the mid lane, leaning tight, slightly towards top side, getting prepared to take that Herald. It looks like it will go to them, and there's that Alistar Veigar combo. I do not think it went to the cage. Ori ends up pressing a big R, ended up killing Alistar, and Zac engages on the Veigar, getting plenty of damage with his ultimate off, and it looks like Ori's going to finish it off with her ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did the combo well. They just wound up not having the damage to burst through Orianna's shield. It looks like Seraph's was completed first, so Seraph's plus Ori E is actually a ton of effective HP. But that was the combo I was talking about earlier with Alistar and Vigar. It is a lot of CC, but you need to have the damage to back it up.
And BushWookies is going to secure that Herald. They got one Drake, and I think they ended up getting the grubs as well as this Herald. So they are controlling the objectives right now. Otacon are still a few minutes away from spawning. It looks like Zinzao's going to come bot lane to kill Renekton. Renekton, so is McKinnon with his Maelstrom, and Renekton getting damaged pretty heavily. Renekton trying to stay alive, but just not enough sustain for him. And they go on Aphelios here with the Alistar letting his combo. Aphelios R's and just deals crazy amounts of damage to Alistar Kaisa, and Alistar's going to fall. Ended up being too far in, or he's just going to delete the Vigar on the fight here mid lane, and Kaisa's trying to look like it's trying to execute, but I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, it does happen. I guess they did reach that threshold for time for Kaisa to execute.
Yeah, Mountain Dragon in 25 seconds. Should be plenty of time for BushWookies to set up vision. This is a mammoth gold lead at 17 minutes. I don't know that I see a way for SPG to turn this one around outside of a mistake.
That I do think Renekton's lacking quite a bit of damage, but I don't think his point would be his damage. I guess with the Stride Breaker, it would be more for, that extra little CC, and being able to sustain in these fights would be good for Renekton.
Kennen should have his ult for this, but I think the point of teleporting down there to go after him was to try to force him back off so he'd recall no contest for the dragon.
Yeah, it was in Zao.
Really should, but
Then we got about, was it 2 minutes till Otacon spawns? We'll be on the bot side of the map. BushWookies are pretty in a heavy lead right now. Renekton pushing up quite far. Looks like 3 people are going to go on the Renekton. Renekton getting a lot of damage after the Maelstrom from Kennen. Renekton ends up ulting, and he's just taking too much damage. Oh, he gets a massive heal there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to pull anything out.
You invest down there, you lose a turret. But, I mean, it's a good trade if you're SPG. I think you take that, the turret's going to fall anyways. And I think if Renekton plays a little safer, you can get that turret without dying.
Oop, Veigar ended up canceling his back. I don't think that would have hit if he had just kept his back going. And Veigar ends up flashing, really not necessary when he's already destined to die. And it's just going to be a slow death for him.
Did I miss Herald being put down, or are they still holding it?
They might have put it mid. I did not really pay attention to that. We were focused on the Renekton bot lane fight.
Yeah, I guess it went down mid. That could have been big for Otacon, but it looks like Otacon spawning 40 seconds, being pinged out by BushWookies, so I think that's going to be where they focus.
That Renekton is kind of on a dying turret here with 3 of SPG here, but it does look like BushWookies are ready to kind of move in the case that he gets too far up. Kaisa positioning right there. They go on the Renekton. They are Orianna missing just barely, and Renekton ending up having to flash out. Looks like Kennen will be down for this next fight here on Otacon possibly, as well as the Ori ultimate, so we'll see how this goes. Kennen is quite low, so he may end up having to back and TP back in. We still have a TP on Veigar, so they can definitely do, try to maybe contest this Otacon. Braum getting some deep vision here.
Yeah.
And it looks like all 5 of BushWookies are kind of rushing to invade this Zinzao and his team. They know they're okay, Zac jumps in, Braum R's, and then Zac ultimate's right on top of them all. And we got Alistar really deep in the line with nobody to really, provide any damage afterwards. Zac so far in as well, taking some damage. Alistar ends up dying. And we got Kaisa here proccing the Zac passive. And it looks like they are going to lose the Alistar and keep Zac alive with his passive.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was good CC on Aphelios, but the problem is, it's the same situation. Oh, I'll wait because we think we have another fight coming.
It could be potential. Zac ends up jumping in, missing his Q onto the Veigar, and Velios lands up on green-purple right now. Braum landing a stun on Veigar. This could be devastating for that. And Zinzao getting stunned. Kinnan flashing in with Maelstrom Ore, and he just doesn't have the damage to kill Aphelios. They end up killing Kinnan. And the Zac is shut down with no passive, and Zinzao's gonna die. It looks like BushWookies are just going to finish off the Kaisa here, and Alistar's gonna end up walking away with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they got the cannon flank on Aphelios with the Aphelios on his subjectively worst guns, and they still couldn't kill him. I think, given the scaling nature of BushWookies' team, I just don't see a way that SPG comes back in this game.
Yeah, it's hard to see, anything from SPG in this game. Cannon, if he's able to, get some, maybe, some items here and maybe get that flank again and kill the Aphelios, it could be a potential winner, but I don't really see it. I was saying, with the side of, BushWookie having, Renekton, Zac, and Braum, that their AP people really needed a Leandri's to actually deal with all that and just poke them out slowly in these fights, especially with your long range Kaisa. You can still use Kin and Qs for poke. And you have Zinzao and Alistar for disengage, so they can definitely make these pokes here, but I just think they really needed that Leandri's to get that poke.
Yeah. It looks like Seraph's Rod of Ages for Veigar, so I think, unfortunately, we are probably not going to get to see that for this entire game.
It looks like SPG's vision is just going to get cleared after just setting it up. Braum landing the Q for his passive on Zinzao, though they're not going to end up going for it. Ori pushing mid lane, so they have prio there. Kinnan ends up TPing really far behind BushWookies. Maybe they can do something with it. SPG kind of split up just a little bit.
They don't have
and Alice went in as well as Zac. Both sides fighting on different sides. It looks like Kinnan's going to use R on the Aphelios, maybe not getting it, not enough damage. And it just looks like they're going to ace him on this from BushWookies. And slowly killing the Veigar here, as well as getting the Dragon. Said it was a good thought from Kinnan to come all the way back, but I just don't think he has that damage to kill Aphelios. It's just not enough. Do you know what that passive shield that Aphelios got was right there at the end every time Kinnan is pressed R?
Was that Guardian from Braum?
That could be possible.
I believe that was Guardian from Braum. That proc.
Or was it the Locket? It might have been the Locket. I bet you it was the Locket.
Could have been, yeah. Plus, Braum is sitting on Knight's Vow. In addition, it doesn't get a shield from Knight's Vow, but he does get damage reduction from it. It's just, it's really hard to get on a hyper carry with that's that fed when you're this far behind.
Yes. Said it looks like Kinnan's gonna end up picking that Shadow Flame up. Like I said, I still would have loved to have seen a Leandris here into this, even though their carries are the ones fed. I think you just need that Leandris to, like I said, once again, deal damage to these tanks and poke them out for the fight. Kaisa getting some damage on Renekton. Alistar coming from behind, maybe getting damage. Renekton W's to break the shield of Kaisa R, and Kaisa's just going to end up slaying him under the tower, even though
Two bottom here, they'll go straight for Baron.
Yep. Maybe we will see. Don't think we're going to see a steal from Zinzao, but it could be possible. And he did steal it. But he's going to sacrifice his life. Man, I said I didn't think he was going to steal it, and guess what? He just ended up stealing it.
That was pretty crazy. That was a blind W to be at the perfect amount of health.
And it looks like, SPG can get away back in there. They're going to get this bot lane tower for that, 518 gold per Alistar and Kaisa. Here, quite a bit of gold for this. And Alistar going back in, looking for something, while looks like a little bit of miscommunication while, Kaisa backed and Alistar just cancels back. Maybe to save his ADC instead of, back with him.
Yeah, Alistar's having a rough game. It's a one of the unfortunate things when Alistar fills the same sort of role as Nautilus. Same thing that happened last game, where if you don't get ahead early and you lose early on an engaged champion, all that you're gonna do is be able to go in and die. It feels very terrible to play on support, but sometimes it is what you need to do.
And they're flush Ariana onto the Oriana, and it looks like they're just going to kill the Oriana. So that is a big shutdown. About a 700 gold bounty to Kaisa. So Kaisa's starting to get some gold here. Still down about 2k from Aphelios though, which, considering the the KD difference, it is not that bad. Is it? Oh,
3k, yeah, almost 3k.
So, well, a little bit more
So
disparaging than.
Item in chain, or a little bit less than an item behind. But yeah, I mean, they've done well to snatch a little bit of gold back here. If you're on BushWookies, you just slow it down, play for Soul. Mountain Soul versus Kennen is going to be pretty big for them. You have to wait out the Baron buff.
Renekton just TPing the short distance to mid lane tower to clear. I'm kind of surprised he did that. Could have just backed and walked straight there. And Braum ending up having a flashing out. Jinzao flashing with the W to get on top of Braum, knocking him up. Zac ends up going in with his ultimate right there. And he's all alone in the space as well as Alistar being alone in space. Zac losing his passive. Alistar still pretty healthy here with his ultimate. And they are going to kill the Zac. Renekton dashing in and Alistar knocking him up. Renekton going deep for this Kaisa but not able to get it. It looks like SPG is able to pick up a few kills while only losing Alistar. Veigar kinda caught out here. And he's going to probably fall here to the Oriana. And Zinzao's walking back in for some reason, and he's looking like he's going to get caught by the Oriana R, and it's just, what was he doing?
It was a good thing for them there. They did sort of get their way back into it. I guess he was trying to get the vision here ahead of this dragon, but he's going to be dead for this dragon spawn, which means Soul is going to go the way of BushWookies in all likelihood.
We see that a Kaisa W will sneak its way through and land on the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, a pause coming through. Something happening. Maybe we'll see. Looks like cat's on fire or something.
An old raid pause from WoW. While we have the time, if you are SPG, assuming that there's not a miracle comeback in this game, how do you reset for game 3 to try to pick up a point in this series?
So we've been seeing SPG kind of lose through bot lane, so I think they need to slow it down the bot lane, even if it doesn't matter what ADC support the combination they play. Slow it down, not give too much up, and end up drafting a comp that is able to, win these other lanes and even be able to kill this Aphelios in these team fights. So while I did think their draft was good first game, I think they kind of slacked on the draft this game, and they're not really playing too much to their comp. They're kind of getting picked out quite a bit and losing solo and lane. So I think they need to try to change, a little bit especially in bot lane, not dying so much and not giving so much up so they can fight these objectives. And it's been a stalemate top lane, so I don't know what to see from top lane. If Kennen, if Light's able to pull out maybe some, well,
Yeah.
even if Light's able to pull out anything on the top lane, I don't think it'll matter too much. But definitely love to see Jim start securing more objectives on the side of SPG, but to secure these objectives, he's going to need his bot lane to kind of play a little bit safe and get these what would you call it? What's the term for it? the prio bot lane.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. I think I think they need to adjust their ban strategy because they've thrown 3 bans at Eli Senpai in both games. Oh, we're back.
Yes, and Dragon almost up soon, and it looks like Vagar Xin Zhao down. Did it pause for you?
It did. Spectator bug. It'll come back in a second. I have seen this before. While it comes back, like I was saying, 3 bans by way of Eli Senpai, and I don't think they've gotten much value out of it.
Yeah.
I think you go target the hyper carries because that's clearly the strategy that BushWookies is trying. They've lost 2 of them, or potentially 2 of them from a win here, and you can really limit a champion pool with 6 bans.
And BushWookies is going to secure that 4th and final Drake they need to get the soul.
Yeah,
and it
that
looks
was
like they're all
the-
running bot for the cannon, and they're going to be spotted out by the control ward. And now everybody's going to see him and hopefully start coming to defend this bot side. Kaisa ends up backing after taking the tower top side. Kennen,
This tower
desperately,
should fall before she gets back.
yeah, can't really clear the way with 5 people standing on the tower, and you're the only one as Kennen.
You
there.
can't fight this right now. Aphelios is red-white, so you just have to give up this inhib, then back off.
Braum landing his Q on Zhao. Nothing to be seen from it. And BushWookies is going to end up coming to mid lane to take the next inhib, and then they're probably going to head top lane if they don't get a team wipe here. Xin Zhao looking for some angle, Kennen as well, though I don't think they see anything because they didn't engage, and it looks like BushWookies is going to go top, like I said earlier, and just 5-man top lane, maybe send some on the other side.
Orianna has teleport, so I think you can let Orianna recall here. She can go run down bot lane while you 4-man top side. You might just reset and prep vision around Baron. Because barring another miracle steal, you're just gonna walk in the waves here and close out this game.
So it looks like they're gonna just kind of clear. BushWookies is gonna clear their top side well. SPG is also fading red side. The Raptors.
If you're SPG, your only shot here is to potentially get a pick. But I don't think they got vision out fast enough to make that happen. So BushWookies will come in, close out the vision around this, wait for the waves to push to the point where they have to send 1 to 2 people to stop those waves, and then at that point, you take the Baron.
It just looks like BushWookies is doing a great job walking to these objectives together, as well as walking to get vision together and all that. So, and well, SPG is kind of just kind of split, and we're going to see that Zach engage with his ins out and knock him away so he doesn't have to get caught here. And BushWookies is going to push the top side tower and just delete the tier 2. And we got a cage on the Xin Zhao. I mean, not the Xin Zhao, but the Aphelios, but it doesn't really matter. Heavy poke. Alistar flashes in on the Aphelios. Not much damage coming out, not much follow-up. Alistar just kind of losing a little health. And Zach going on the bot side. Kennen trying to come back with an ultimate and not able to get much. And Aphelios just doesn't fall. They tried so hard to get that Aphelios. Vagar being low here and seeing nothing to do has to go back into the fountain to heal up. It looks like BushWookies is just going to close out the game.
Yeah,
here.
they got everything they wanted. They wanted the Kennen flank from the side, but unfortunately, Guardian from Braum, Locket came in, could not kill Aphelios. He still had his white gun for the last little bit of damage on that team fight. It was a good try, but too little, too late. Time to reconvene and hope for a better game 3.
Yes. 21-0 on the side of dinner. Massive.
I think if you're dinner, you Gotta say, put a little respect on the name right now. That's 2 games in a row. He's very hard carried. So we talked about it a little bit during the game, but I would like to see a change in ban strategy from SPG here.
Yeah.
Aphelios is gone. Uh, who was the first AD carry? I'm blanking. Um,
Damn, I'm blanking too.
Zaya's gone.
That's right.
Aphelios is gone. You maintain the Jinx ban. Maybe you swap around the sides, so you first pick Sivir, ban out Varus. Like you can sort of make it so you take away all the hyper carry AD carries. I feel like that might be a better strategy than putting 3 bans in a top lane.
Yeah.
Especially on tank characters, because it seems like Eli is willing to play any tank in the top lane. Doesn't really matter. So I don't feel like those bans are creating a ton of value. And I think you have to focus on the reduced champion pool on the bot side and have that be your strategy for game 3.
Yes. Said what they do need to change up their bans. Like you said, it's clearly not working. 3 banning Eli. Uh, looks like they might want to focus more on Dinner. Dinner has just been destroying these last 2 games, and it's not looking good for SPG. Maybe they'll change up their strategy and actually pull out a 3rd game.
Yeah, I knew the Alistar game would be a little rough, but maybe we look towards like an enchanter. I'd like to see like a Sivir Karma or something like that in the bot lane out of SPG, because that can play both aggressive and has the ability to play weak side. So if you do get a favorable matchup on the top side and you want to play on the top side of the map, you can. If Sivir Karma is doing well, you can play strong side bot and go after objectives that way. I really feel like that's the strategy they should go for. It doesn't have to be those exact 2 champions. That's just an example. Um, but there are several enchanter-esque supports that allow you to do that, and it doesn't put SPG support in such an awful position where if they lose early, like there's nothing,
They're
no
stuck being
amount of
they're stuck being a utility champ with no really usefulness because you have no one to back you up from damage side.
yeah. It's a truly terrible feeling on a support. Sometimes you do get a win, and even if you get a win, the KDA is really ugly. But it looks like Gray is going to take blue side this time, which will be first pick. So I think that's a deviation from the last 2 games. So maybe we will see that change in draft strategy here.
Yeah. So be different sides, so something different for game 3. Maybe it's the thing they need to change up to, uh, you know, pull something out. Maybe blue side's the lucky side for been the lucky side. Maybe that'll stay the same for SPG. For SPG. If not, it looks like red side BushWookies could keep it going here for a 3rd game.
Players are getting in the way. We are getting our draft little screen here. And we'll get into pick bands here in just a moment.
Alrighty. So just waiting for them to lock in for draft flow here for game 3.
If you're BushWookies here, in terms of your pick ban, I think you have to recognize what your comp is working for you. So I think you're gonna have to pick AD carry in first three. Otherwise, you're gonna have 6 bans on AD carry in all likelihood.
It could happen. And then you also got the two ADCs you've already played that would be out.
Yeah, you're gonna be out of majority of the AD carry champion pool here. Looks like we're about to get underway in draft. Maybe.
All right, here comes ready up on BushWookie side. Waiting, I believe, on SPG. Still waiting.
Looks like Gray did say ready in chat.
Looks like Blue Link was broken, so we're gonna have to get a new draft floor. Oh, never mind. Looks like we're gonna have draft floor underway. And
Alright.
SPG first to ban. They're just gonna first ban the Victor. Don't think that's been working for him so far, so we'll see what happens here. BushWookies sticking with the same bans, and SPG looks like they're picking the same bans, just different order. Lulu for BushWookies, and SPG goes to Orm bans. So not much change in the bans for anything. So looks like they're not going to give Dinner the respect he deserves for these ADCs.
Yeah, I really expected a different set of bans here. I
They're
don't know.
just SPG gonna first pick the Sejuani. Interesting.
Sejuani is a really great jungler, creating a ton of space. If you pick the AD carry here, you could go like, Jinx with another enchanter like Jinx Melio, something like that. You can have a ton of space created by Sejuani, so it could be a method that works here. But really, if you create that much space, you want to have a hyper carry and AD carrier mid that's gonna be able to hard carry.
Looks like BushWookies are gonna come back with Poppy. A champion as a Fury I totally hate and wish was never invented.
It does have a bit of flexibility here. That can be played jungle or support. You're not afraid to take a jungle because it says Wani dash. But if bot picks hard engage like Leona, something like that, you are also fine on it being support.
BushWookie's gonna come back with a Mel. Looks like they got quite a bit of survivability on the set of BushWookies with Poppy being able to knock people out and stop dashes as well as Mel reflecting, quite a, any projectiles.
There's the
Jinx.
Jinx. Hopefully, we see an enchant here, a departure from uh, what we've seen thus far. Janna would be fine. I still think Melio is probably the best pick if you're going for an enchanter here. You could also play a roam heavy enchanter like Bard.
Looks like they're gonna pick up the Roar instead. Um, maybe they could they not have picked Karma?
Yeah, Karma would have been a decent flex. I don't know if SPG mid laner plays Karma or not. Here comes the hard engage. You know that Poppy's going to be in the jungle now. I think you're fine with that. If you're the side of BushWookie here, I would direct both of my bans towards support and really eliminate some of the things that can make Jinx a late game powerhouse.
Ugh. And didn't get to ban from Bushwookie side. Bars coming out for the SPG. So they kind of don't believe the Mel's going to be their ADC on the ADC side. It looks like they're believing it going to be mid.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suspect that will be for Salto on Mel. I know he plays it. I suspect they know as well.
And Maokai ban looks it's going to come through for Bushwookies. So
I don't mind the Braum ban. I don't know that Maokai ban would be all that great. I think they've shown that they win the engage bot lane.
so was
I,
red side fourth ban Braum? Because for me it
oh
showed
yeah,
nothing.
yeah, it's fourth ban Braum.
Okay, so then looks like dual ADCs are going to be banned out against Bushwookies.
Tristana is the sixth ban coming out of SPG, so they do
They do
ban
start,
some of those ADCs.
yeah.
I
So
think Sivir's still up. I think that might be the play here in terms of hard scaling bot lanes.
Sion looks like it. Nope, nope. Going
As
too big.
Ezreal's still pretty good. Caitlyn's available. Caitlyn not as strong in the very late game, but you could also pull out something like Smolder, depending on how much tank SPG picks in these last two picks.
I'm gonna say I believe this to be. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call. Maybe we'll see a Mel bot lane with a Nautilus and then put an ADC mid against Aurora.
Salto is well known for his Caitlyn. Caitlyn could give Aurora some fits, but Aurora does absolutely blow people up, so could be interesting to see.
Yes. Looks like they're gonna pick up the set because they are getting quite a bit of tankiness on the side of Bushwookies, as well as gonna pick up Swain. So quite a bit of a drain tank for. I think that'd be really good into Bushwookies. We'll have to see what Bushwookie picks here. I think they're kind of lacking a little bit of damage.
It'd be spicy, but you could go Vayne here. Zeri's also very good for tank killing.
Yes.
They did hover the Vayne. They did think about it. But yeah, Zeri is a perfectly fine late game scaling AD carry. Very capable of knocking down big health pools. I think it's a good pick into set Sejuani Swain. I do think Jinx will do more damage. I think I personally would have liked to have seen a Enchanter support with Jinx really amp her late game damage, but we'll see. We'll see how Swain Jinx does against Nautilus area. I think that's a fairly even bot lane if all things are equal. Swain is a pretty good pick into Nautilus Cho'Gath.
But
But
they do have I would say the set being able to R one of the tanks back into the mainline carries and just one shot him with his W after taking a lot of damage. That is a potential to see here. I do think they got some of the damage to deal with tanks, though. I really would like to see Aurora kind of. I don't know if she goes Leandri's, but I think it'd be great against once again 3 tanks for the side of Bushwookies. Uh, really, really tanky. I think being able to have that poke off Aurora, slowly come, you know, poke out these fights here. Though it will be kind of hard with Nautilus, Hook and as well as Cho'Gath Q and silence, and even Poppy, E engage into a wall can be devastating.
Yeah, I think this is a much more even draft than the last game. I do think both teams have a way to win this game.
Yes.
Yeah, much better job by SPG on this draft.
Said, while I'm not too much of a fan of some of the picks, I do think it is a little bit better of a draft. I'm not much of a, I don't know how Swain's support really goes with ADCs. I don't know why it's even a thing, but maybe I'll find out someday.
It's pretty good into champions that are susceptible to like having limited range, meaning like the E comes out and pulls them in, and then you can harass with Q. The mana is really not that high, so it's something between a mage that harasses and a hook champion, but it is pretty aggressive early. With that said, Zeri Nautilus is pretty aggressive early, and then Jinx is not quite as much. She can be, but not like your traditional like gonna turbo stomp lane like Draven. So I think all things considered, these lanes are relatively even. The one I'm wondering about is Set versus Cho'Gath. That's I think a pretty big counter pick, but I don't know. I'm not a top laner.
Um, Pins what that, I mean, Set's R does do quite a bit of damage, especially from tanks. So it would, I do think he can do good into Cho'Gath. He does have, a lot of damage, and this W shield can be crazy.
I think we'll get into the official selection here in just a moment. We do have some people going to the bathroom. But yeah, I mean, in terms of overall comp, I think I like SPGs just a touch more. I really like the Sejuani pick. I think it creates a ton of space for Jinx. It's one of my favorite combos, not for any particular interaction, besides just literally big beefy body that her ult creates so much space in front of Jinx to let Jinx shred. Especially into 3 tanks. I think that's a really good spot to be.
Yeah. Jinx is just gonna have to get to the items to be able to shred those tanks.
Yeah, if SPG bot lane can survive this game and not lose as hard as they've lost the last 2 games, uh, trying to think of a nicer way to say that, but sometimes the reality is not so nice. They have lost bot very hard the last 2 games. If they can avoid doing that, if they come out even, I think this late game goes towards SPG. With that said, anytime you throw in the wild card of like Mill Reflect and things like that, that can have huge game-changing things. Sejuani ult gets reflected by Mel back at their main carries. All of a sudden, the space comes on to the BushWookie side. So, as I said earlier, I think this draft is a lot more even. Both sides definitely have an avenue to win. But I think SPG's is much clearer this game than it was last game. In terms of the jungle early, I feel like Aurora Sejuani has a little bit more impetus on the early game than Poppy Mel. So if you're SPG, I think you look to try to snag an early objective. The later this game goes, I do think the better it is for SPG. So
Yeah, definitely with Jinx and Aurora. Even the later it goes, tanks start to fall off late game. Even Shogath with his scaling health still kind of falls off. And if they're just they prevent the Poppy from locking anyone down, or the Nautilus. I mean, obviously the Nautilus is gonna just get that guaranteed CC onto one of the carries like Aurora or Jinx. So they'll have to space that pretty so the Nautilus can't get in range. and they can't really let the Cho'Gath get on top, run at them and get on top of them because that's a big true damage ultimate.
Yep. If they can limit the Jinx early in bot lane, I think the build path for the tanks becomes a lot simpler on the side of BushWookies. And they don't have to be worried about as much about like getting Randu in second or something like that, or a Frozen Heart. They can really scale up health and then be not unafraid to get it and third item. So if you're BushWookies, I think you're hard prio on bot side, trying to get them going and ahead. If you're SPG, I think mid and top are going to be your big lanes that you want to get ahead. With that said, that means you need to be careful and cognizant of where the enemy jungler is if you're the bot side of SPG. Of course, I could eat my words and they could path the opposite way of what I'm expecting in
That
4 minutes.
while I feel like they do got a lot of lockdown with the Nautilus, even the Cho'Gath being able to run out, and even or the Poppy, just getting in there. I agree with you. I don't think the Jinx is gonna have too much of a good game if they get on top of, and it's really easy for BushWookies to get on top of the Jinx, in my opinion. But you still see you got that beefy Sedge wanting to come up front and block the way, as well as the set to ult anyone back and deal plenty of damage to the enemy backline. So maybe
if the set gets a huge Cho'Gath ultimate, like that could like delete Zeri like 100-0.
yes,
Um,
that can be devastating. So I think it's really going to rest on SPG's top laner to deal with these tanks in the early to mid game, and then as the game transitions to your later in the game, your Jinx slash Aurora, probably more on on the Jinx is going to rely on them to deal with these tanks.
but I think we are about to go into our 3-minute spectator delay. So we will take a step back, come back in 3 minutes for game number 3 between SPG and BW.
Alright. Alright. Here we go. It looks like still another 5-point, unfortunately, for both sides. I thought, SPG might pull, an invade the way they were kind of all around mid lane at the beginning, but they all fanned out. Another boring 5-point.
I
Though
think it
I
was
do.
like Worlds in like 2015-ish. I don't remember the game, or I can't even give any of those details, but I remember a 5v5 level 1 with 10 kills in one of the Worlds.
See, that's the type of stuff that you just love to see.
Looks like
But
Poppy started without a potion. Just recalled. Still doesn't have a potion. I don't know if that's by choice or
I don't know, but he did back, so I'm do believe that, it's kind of by choice. They had the opportunity to correct it if they wanted to, and they didn't seem to do it. So they had 2 opportunities.
I'm not familiar with Poppy's jungle clear. I just don't really play her in the jungle, so I don't know how strong it is or isn't. But
I
might
mean, I
be
think
something worth watching.
I think it's just about like any, tank jungle. Though, Poppy does have the option to build more bruiser than other junglers. Said getting that early vision on the side of SPG in that bush. Nautilus trying for the hook, but unfortunately just not able to swing it. Bot lane laying out some poke on each other.
I may have to
And
defer to mid lanes. I don't know what the Mel versus Aurora matchup is in terms of is it like a even matchup or not. But
I feel like it would be even because I don't think. I mean, obviously, Rel. I mean, not Mel's. What would you call it? Reflect is probably only viable on Aurora's Q. I think everything else is not. I don't know if her that I think it's her W is or is E. I forget which one that fires that long, wide damage. So it looks like it doesn't reflect it. For Aurora. And Aurora's laying down some pretty good poke here, able to almost just needing about 100 more damage to actually kill the Mel. Bot lane being pretty neutral. Swain landing E. Get some poke off on the Nautilus. Nautilus trying to go for the hook but misses, but he's able to get the aftershock proc, but it ends up flashing and Jinx ends up hitting kill. This may be the point in time where, SPG can win, but it looks like Dinner's going to pick up a counter kill, and Dinner has no flash, and he's just going to die, so it looks like they're going to pull out a 2-for-1 on the side of SPG. A big change from the last 2 games. Maybe they can continue to pay it forward and win out the game. Oh, I did not actually notice, but
didn't.
Gray and Jim actually did swap roles. So Gray is now jungling with Jim going ADC.
Okay, so that is a definite difference from the bot lane. Don't know how I didn't notice that, but
Okay.
So Jim is a Masters ADC that is filling jungle traditionally, so this might be a little bit more competitive in the bot lane.
Said Sec taking some poke with Cho'Gath pushing in pretty hard. Think Set just wants to kind of survive till he's able to get, a couple items and be able to fight the Cho'Gath.
I feel like Set's a pretty big lane bully, right? Or am I wrong?
Usually, yeah, Set is quite a lane bully, but Cho'Gath has, that passive that keeps him alive and, his E being able to hit through minions. And Cho'Gath just got a lot of CC and weighs the damage from a distance. So it's kind of hard to bully out Cho'Gath early. And Nautilus ends up landing a hook on the Swain. The Swain gets a little low. Swain ended up having to flash out. Zeri trying to keep in the fight, taking, dealing a lot of damage to them under tower. And it looks like Dinner is going to get a lot more damage off than Jim and Longstride.
Yeah, this is a section of the bot lane where you really don't have many wards and you can really be zoned off.
And it's
you
really
kinda
hard.
need Sejuani to come break this zone.
Yeah, and with Poppy being there, I don't think they can even try for a fight. So I think it's kind of bait if Sejuani does come. And it looks like they actually, BushWookies is just going to take the dragon since they have all this prio here. The tempo is definitely on the side of BushWookies right now. Jim and Longstride are just too low, in my opinion, to try for this. Poppy kind of coming off the dragon. I don't know if he came off it completely. Can't really tell. They did, and Poppy's going to start it with Sejuani being there, but doesn't look like SPG bot side is going to be able to take this. And instead, Sejuani is going to look to kill the mid side. Rel getting quite low, and one more auto, and actually the Sejuani is going to steal it with the W. I really needed to go to the Roar in my opinion, but it's fine. Poppy's going to cover for the Mel, so not losing too much. And it looks like Nautilus lands a hook on the Swain, and Swain's going to end up dying from the damage. Jim trying to get a return kill, does get a return kill on Nautilus, and Barriers ends up, and he actually turns it into a double kill. The Barrier came in clutch to actually clean out this area, so Jim is now 3-1. So it is looking like a bit of a difference now compared to when Great was playing ADC.
Yeah, Jinx with 3 kills early, already 100 gold bounty. Relatively even on the CS, but really good job holding that barrier into the last minute, sort of baits Dinner into staying just a little bit too long. We talked about them getting an early objective, how that'd be good for scaling. Again, I think SPG's late game is better, so every objective that they get early is just more time that it delays and pushes out that game timer.
Absolutely. Sejuani on bot side, a little about half health, looking to get something. Swain does land the E on the Zeri. Zeri is able to dodge the Sejuani ultimate, but getting dangerously slow, and the Jinx rocket does land on the low health Zeri. Sad. That slow from Sejuani's ultimate, even despite missing, was really detrimental. In my opinion, it really zoned her off from going back. And they are trying to get damage on the tower. Swain does land his E on it and then pulling the Nautilus slightly out. And they're trying to get damage, forcing the TP from Mel so they don't lose anything. It looks like they're going to kind of swap lanes maybe temporarily, with Zeri going mid and Mel going bottom. And it looks like SPG is starting to pick up some momentum here.
SPG's bot lane should probably go mid here too, if they're gonna contest this Void Grubs.
I think it's going to be too late for them to test the Void Grub, so I think they'll be fine where they're at, because they'll be ready for the next Drake. It really doesn't matter too much.
I guess there aren't 6 Void Grubs anymore. That is a change.
Yes.
Looks like farm in the top lane is relatively even. Mid lane slightly ahead for Mel, even with the death, but total gold about the same. Just the big difference is just in the spot lane. It's now about 500-ish gold, which is not an insurmountable amount, but it is, starting to get to a point where you need to stem the bleeding.
I do think we are getting to that point where Set is actually starting to be that lane bully into Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath really can't walk up to get any more minions now. He's going to have to rely on his Qs and Ws to probably clear these waves where Set can just run at him every time. And it looks like he is deciding to go Bork instead of the usual Stride Breaker. which that is good again, especially into a lot of tanks here. It looks like Nautilus lands a hook on to the Jinx. Jinx having a flash out after the ignite, and Swain ulting, draining Dinner and Flack here, though Zeri landing a lot of damage on ultimate. And we got top lane. It looks like Setch fighting 3 people top lane, ends up dying. Nautilus going back to bot lane now where Nautilus is low. It looks like Zeri dashes in a little bit and is gonna try to kill the Jinx, but Jinx just barriers and ends up pulling it out onto Zeri. Nautilus lands a hook on the Swain, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. And trying to give it to Jinx, and it doesn't end up Jinx. Are the minions? Thought the minions might be a little potential to kill the Jinx, but don't think it was enough.
Yeah, I think they forced that engage a little bit too hard. Feeling like they need to be ahead. Same situation as the first 2 games, just the teams are reversed now. Nautilus is the engage champ into a lane that's losing, and it does not feel good, but you have to play more careful. You can't just keep forcing and forcing.
Yeah.
Mel did get the top kill in the top lane on set, so if you're thinking about directing your gold, that's probably where you want it to go on.
We're looking like a dive on the Cho'Gath. Sejuani misses ult, but Set ults him out. Cho'Gath flashes back into the tower, and he's just low. Sejuani taking quite a bit of damage from the tower, having a flash out, and they kill the Cho'Gath.
He needed like 1 more second to have his feast up, and that would have been very different, but well-timed gank.
Poppy coming down here, Eing the Swain in a tower, though the Swain misses E, though Jinx is just going to auto the Poppy out, and it looks like the Aurora ended up getting a solo kill on the Mel mid, and Nautilus hooked in, but doesn't have enough damage, and it just looks like they're going to drain and auto attack Zeri to death. It is looking very good for Jim and Longstride in the bot lane.
Yeah, I think this is the exact copy of the last game, but in reverse. I feel all three lanes have lost to this point.
Yes.
Jungler's behind.
And it looks like Set is just destroying that turret against the Cho'Gath, getting quite a bit of damage out since he is Link Bork with it. A lot of attack speed, and it just Cho'Gath looks like he is having a hard time there. It does look like SPG is going to end up taking the dragon and going for the Nautilus, poking out a little bit, though he's just able to walk out.
So if you're SPG, you gotta do the similar thing as the last game. You just have to play it slow. You have this huge gold lead now. This is 5,000 gold at 13 minutes. This should be, if you play your cards right, an easy win in terms of like overall macro. You probably shift your AD carry mid here in a second, try to knock down that tower, and try to play it slow, keep stacking the dragons. If you're on the side of BushWookies, you're really looking to set up some picks, right? Or an outplay here in the top.
Looks like Cho'Gath is just going to actually be able to eat the set after he pressed the ultimate and use the shield.
If you're the side of BushWookies, you need to try to go for warding picks. Not really something that plays into your comp except for Nautilus, but you have to stem the bleeding in the bot side. So Nautilus, go roam, go set up some wards, set up some picks. But yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do when you're this far down, this early.
So you mentioned earlier about trying to get bot lane to go mid. I do think that what would be optimal is either bot, Jinx and the Swain kill the tower and they rotate mid, or the Set actually kills his top lane tower since it's actually so low. And Set goes to switch bot lane, and then they maybe put the Ori top lane, and then you put your bot lane into mid.
Yeah, you just get so much, because Jinx is so far ahead, she had 9 kills right now, you get so much pressure on the map from Jinx being mid. I think that rotation needs to happen like yesterday.
Yes, they do have Herald coming up, so it would be good to actually switch it here. Set. Poke out in mid lane. Looks like Mel's going to kind of win that a little bit. Set did finish his Bork in the end, so he will be doing a lot of damage to this Cho'Gath while he autos. Oh, Cho'Gath looks like he's just going to clear it out. He ends up ulting the cannon minion. Looks like
Is
Set's just
Cho'Gath's Shuralia's a common build?
Yes, I forget back a couple patch. I don't know how many patches ago, but they have nerfed it a little bit. It used to be crazy, that build. Like I played against it when it was really strong, and it was annoying to play against it. You build Shuralias, and I forget, as well as those out of combat movement speed boots. It looks like they're having a fight top lane with Pape dying to the Swain Set, and Set is just dealing crazy damage while Swain just does constant damage with his ultimate, and it looks like they're going to tower dive. Set may die. He does die to the tower at the end of it.
Good job by Eli to get something from that. You look for the cross map play. It looks like they're getting turret damage, probably an objective bounty on dinner here. So I think all in all, if all things are equal, you take that trade if you're BushWookies.
Looks like Sejuani is going to herald in and actually decides to go for the Mel instead of the tower, and looks like Aurora just deletes this Aurora when she dies. Now Nautilus hooking in onto the Jinx, and Jinx is just going to die after the Zeri ultimates. Zeri is just dealing massive damage to Swain. Swain ended up having to flash out, and Swain's out with nothing else to happen.
Really great flash from the Zeri here. Dodges most of the damage from Swain with that flash, and really turns what should have been an even 2v2 that Jinx should win in long run into a just straight execute. Just really well played by Dinner.
Yes, did actually pull back. Was able to get the shutdown was like 650 gold, if not 700, is the gold they need to actually try to come back in this game. It did bring him back almost even. They are only down 1k now.
Yeah,
so,
that was a huge swing. Rift Herald went down. They got nothing from it. They got a huge shutdown on Jinx. They got a huge shutdown on Aurora in terms of bounty. Because Aurora died mid. That's just massive gold swing.
And if you look at it on the gold lead, we actually do have Zeri up above the Jinx gold.
Yeah, Dinner is farming very well.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, I really would have liked to see that Jinx go mid earlier and put that pressure on mid lane, open up the map a little bit more.
Looks like both teams are kind of positioning. Set is topside with TP, so he's going to end up pushing it, while BushWookies are rushing for this dragon, and it looks like SPG's kind of just, split up, and they really aren't set up to fight this Drake. I think they just need to give it up. Nautilus ends up autoing Sejuani, taking damage, misses the hook on the Sejuani. Swain ults and goes in. Poppy ends up ulting the Swain out. Sejuani hits the Poppy, and they just kill the Poppy, and Nautilus ends up having to flash out. Aurora still going for this. Mel lands her root and trying to kill the Aurora, but not enough damage. Get there. And it looks like SPG is just going to push mid lane. Swain E landing on the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath taking a lot of damage. Cho'Gath ended up having to flash out just to survive. Mel.
Yeah, I think they probably should have given up that dragon and put pressure on mid turret or something like that, but because you're not going to outsmite Cho'Gath R plus smite. You just won't. So you might as well get gold somewhere else.
Yeah. Looks like Aurora's
bot tower or mid.
Yeah, it looks like Aurora is going to push bot to get that bot tower, while his teammates push mid. Nautilus, Sejuani dashes into the Nautilus hook. Nautilus ends up getting rooted, and then stunned, and then Mel just goes in on the Jinx and kills Jinx, and then Swain right after her. Then we just have Poppy Eing finish off.
This Mel is doing so much damage right now.
Yes.
In terms of gold, pulled ahead of Aurora with that. In terms of items, they're probably about the same because of money in pocket, but Mel is just doing an extraordinary amount of damage in that fight.
Sejuani staging the bush here with Aurora. Nautilus walked up to ward, but is going to be stunned by Sejuani, trying to hook to get out, but I don't think he will. He's just taking too much damage, and Jinx ends up getting the last Shadow. I almost thought they were going to let him get out.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate spot. You can't go up there to ward right there. You have nobody else near you. That's not a spot where you can get up there and ward.
And it looks like SPG is going to try to get this Otacon after killing that Nautilus, trying to zone off the Poppy Cho'Gath. Otacon is half health, and I don't know if they can do it. Swain is going to be ulted by the Poppy. It is just so low. Can SPG? No, they can't. Cho'Gath ends up stealing the ultimate. Poppy tries to go in, but having to flash out because he's going too far. And it looks like Melt Root, the Sejuani, dealing a lot of damage. They are trying to chase this on the side of SPG, but just can't really catch up.
Yeah, there's so much value in that Cho'Gath R in terms of objective control. BushWookies have done a really good job of making sure that Eli's there for the objective to make sure they can do that Smite R combo. And there's just not a situation where they lose that trade. And pretty big props to the bot lane of BushWookies. Like we talked about last game, where you have to stop the feeding. You can lose early, but you can't lose early and mid.
Aurora going hard on Mel here. Mel dealing damage as well as Aurora ult. And then they're just autoing each other. Mel ends up trying to get that last hit, but I think Aurora ends up pulling it out with her, I believe, her E, or whichever, I forget which ability that is.
Never played her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
A nice, good old-fashioned brawl in the bot lane, though. Is there a part I don't know top lane is there a point later where Set loses to Cho'Gath, or is that just always going to be side lane pressure for
So I mean, if you look at the gold, you do see Set is up on the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is just rotating to these objectives and doing a better job at maintaining his experience lead. Set will do a lot better in the side lane, and if Set just kept pushing and forcing somebody to match him in the side lane rather than trying to come to the team fights, he might do a bit better. Whereas the only thing Set could do here is actually, when these objectives are up, is ult the Cho'Gath away from the objective at the crucial moment. And we're looking like Swain's going to E the Zeri and everybody, and Sejuani ults Zeri. Zeri's going to die. Next to follow is Poppy. Roar getting the double kill. Nautilus is kind of in a pinch against Sejuani, but it's nobody else to follow up. Set walking down to help his team with the drag possibly. I think he probably should stay top. He has way more value in the side lane than in the team fights right now, since they have 2 down on the side of BushWookies. And BushWookies SPG looks to secure the Drake here. This will be their 3rd Drake. They really could use this 4th Drake to get the soul.
Yeah, Ocean Soul is a bunch of healing. If you think about that in terms of damage taken in a team fight, maybe it's 8-9% less damage taken overall because you heal so much. So Ocean Soul is a very good one, especially when you're running Sejuani, Set, and Swain.
Yeah, it looks like Cho'Gath is just too fast for the Set to land his E right now. Spacing it kind of perfectly. He's got a lot of movement speed items with the Dead Man Australias and I forget what those boots are called, but out of combat symbiotics. There you go. Looks like SPG is kind of trying to go for this, though I think they are man down compared to BushWookies. They do see SPG off that ward in the brush. BushWookies are kind of walking up together. It is a numbers diff here for the side of BushWookies. They could have looked to force, but it looks like they're just gonna go off and start clearing ways with Aurora on the side of SPG pushing bot lane. Oh, it looks like SPG is gonna just start the Baron out of nowhere, and even with the Cho'Gath literally running towards the Baron as well. Mel's gonna TP. It is good that SPG decides to get off because I do not think they can actually work against that Cho'Gath ultimate. They are gonna have to look to ace this team fight before they try to do the Baron, or at least get some key picks.
They did roll up the Mel.
Cho'Gath getting picked as well as the Aurora. Cho'Gath ended up dying, and it looks like Cho'Gath's gonna get CC'd to death here. Sejuani getting C-set out. Zoppy ults the Jinx out, so Jinx, they have no damage. It doesn't matter, Swain just drain tanks the Mel. Mel ends up dying. Set ends up flashing to W the Zeri. The Zeri laying down heavy damage. Jinx finally enters the fight and just is cleaning up everything. And Nautilus tries to hook by a little bit of time, but ends up dying as well.
What a close team fight. SPG comes out ahead. I don't think you can really get too much off of this. You get a turret, maybe 2, but probably just 1. And
I think
we're
what
right back in the same spot.
Yeah, I think what you want to do is have your Jinx definitely get that reset after getting those towers. It did even out the goal between her and Zeri. Surprisingly, Zeri is still up gold on the Jinx. You know, Jinx is just taking the time to clear some vision, steal the red buff for this next team fight, and it looks like BushWookies were kind of trying to run straight to it, but I think they are just rushing to. Poppy's rushing to her bot side camps while everybody else is kind of running to their respective lanes. So nobody looks to be going straight to Baron just yet.
Jinx is sitting on 2,600 gold. Given how much damage she did that last team fight, she'll be up another complete item from there. She does have a 400 gold bounty, so Zeri can keep up if she just picks up another bounty. I will say, last fight, Zingerman on Poppy did what I think the draft comp was designed to do. Get rid of the Jinx. And it's sort of been a struggle for him so far this game, so if you're rooting for BushWookies, that's probably what you want to see, is more of that. On the side of SPG, obviously you got more gold there, and you're still in a position where you can do the same thing. You probably wait till Dragon comes up, and then you make them pick between Baron and Dragon. And that's what I would do.
Dragon looks to be up here in about 30 seconds. SPG kind of already pushing out the mid lane to look for, the vision here, but it is heavily controlled by BushWookies right now. They are starting to clear this for SPG.
Teleport up on both top laners. Cho'Gath's walking back in case he needs to teleport.
Cho'Gath is making that early teleport to the bot lane, while Set stays top lane, and Nautilus tries to get a hook off. I think it is bad on the side of BushWookies that Cho'Gath teleported a little early, because that leads the Set to actually push and then TP in later. I think I would like to see, well, it's going to be a little too late. I would like to see SPG actually make that decision to have gone to this Baron and actually kill it before anything else. But I think if they can try to say they're going to do it, but not really do it, and just let Set keep pushing this for an endgame. And just
they gotta get the engage now if they're gonna go.
Yeah, Set ends up TPing. I think that was a bad idea, the Set TPing, but it looks like they're gonna try taking Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is getting CZ. Big ultimate by Set into the back line. Looks like plenty of damage. Aurora ultimate comes down. Set W comes down. Nautilus just in the back line trying to CC Jinx, but there is just no follow-up. And it looks like
they can end here.
It's going to be game for the side of SPG. Finally, a game for SPG. I'm so glad for their mental.
Yep, definitely. Swapping up bot lane is exactly what they needed. Really well done. Set ult was huge there. Grabbed Cho'Gath, dumped him right on top of the carries. What a fascinating series. All very one-sided games. But split 2-1. Are we doing interviews? Sure.
I wouldn't mind.
Let's see if we can get some people in from either team. If I get to pick, I like to talk to Dinner because he popped off the first 2 games.
How about dinner, and then if you're picking maybe Jim on the side of SPG for that last game?
Yeah. Also with that Baron steal in the second game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
A very interesting series. All 3 games were decided very early.
Yes. There
Showing
did
some
look.
of the dangers of engaged supports in the bot lane.
Yeah. It did look like there was times that after the teams got ahead that there was some points where the opposing team might come back, but I think the team that was ahead just doubled down and decided to push their lead further and actually pull make it even more one-sided.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, Vacant?
How's it going? How's it going?
Hello.
Good game there in the 3rd second. We're seeing if we get a second interview person, but while we do that, we'll start this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to me about how you reset your mental going into that 3rd game. Obviously, you did the role swap, but
Honestly, going to the third game, where like I was like to my ADC, hey, like I think this is the perfect time to swap. Let me put me on ADC because that's initially my main role. So I was like, yeah, might as well go on with a bang, and here we are with a bang.
all
That
right.
it really did seem to work. It seemed like all 3 games were ADC favored. So what was your thoughts on that?
I
Will you?
think we had a bit of misplays and miscommunication on certain plays, but all in all, it went our way in terms of coming back. We didn't mental boom as hard as we thought. The first game, I think we were slowly coming back, especially with um, how fed our verse was getting. Then on the second game, the steal like kind of resetted our mental, so we were able to like climb back from that boom. But it wasn't
Um,
enough. So yeah, sorry, go
so
ahead.
with the swap to ADC this 3rd game, are you looking to in the future series actually can keep that swap where you're ADC, or are you just going to go back to the normal routine where you jungle and having your normal ADC?
I like both. I play jungle on my Smurf, so I'm always practicing jungle on my Smurf, and then ADC sometimes on my main. I do like the transition from jungle because there's a bit more thinking and a lot more doing, as opposed to ADC. You like what? You farm your first 2 items, look for team fights, and so on and so forth. So the jungle does play a pivotal role in the game, and it is a very satisfying role to play when you help accelerate the game, especially with your support.
It is very decision based in the jungle. I do agree there.
Yeah, yeah. I think we are getting for
For
Salto.
Salto, yeah. There he is.
There he is. Sorry about that. Welcome, welcome. So I guess I guess congratulations on one level, a 2-1 series win.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about the pick ban. We were talking during the stream about how much we like the particularly the second game, the comp. Um, what's the draft prep look like for you guys? What were your strategies?
Oh, you want us to leak strats? Okay. Yeah, I mean, we just saw a couple like supports are kind of sharing similar champion pools, so I mean that was kind of one thing that we kind of focused on was just making sure that we could have like a little bit stronger of a bot lane because of that. And then after that, it's just picking characters that can kind of help get leads for our lanes, especially particularly like again bot lane. But that's kind of it. And then getting people on comfort where they can, and just synergies as well. So
I do know you have some new LBL players on your team.
Mhm.
Just want to give you a chance to talk about sort of, support growth this game. I thought he did a really great job in the first two games, in terms of positioning and playing the enchanters correctly. Brag on him a little bit.
oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely, he did a fantastic job. I mean, like vision rotations, everything was really good from him. I think honestly, kind of everybody on our team has stepped up this match. We've been really trying to work on everything because we definitely had a pretty rough start. So, everybody just did super super well.
You got anything, Buck?
No, actually, I guess the only thing I would be thinking about is I'm just brought back to the first game draft that they did with where I was saying that I kind of liked SPG's draft a little bit better. They had more CC, but I do think they lacked a little bit of range for AP range. But I'm just curious on what was I gonna say? The draft site. What was the thoughts on the first game draft?
So the first game draft, we really were. I mean, so to start, like Lulu was kind of a takeaway pick and something that we can play. But after that, it's I think it was Vione second for them, first and second for them, which
Yep.
was I was a little surprised about that early pick like that, but we had plans to pick a little bit differently, but we pivoted off of that and picked a pretty aggressive jungler in Zhao who can get priority on stuff early and it's just I think pretty strong right now. And then I just picked Ari just because she's also just a strong mid lane right now. She's good early. Don't think I played super super great on her, but
Yeah, there was a
I
couple points in the game where you kind of overstepped a little bit.
yeah, I mean, there was like points where I was going on Varus and trying to just, I mean, obviously trying to kill him, and I died for it. But I think I was actually okay with most of those deaths because we ended up getting something off on the other side of the fight.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
and I just kind of, I think from that point on, I was kind of playing like support mid lane, honestly, and I was just playing for dinner at that point. So, but
Yeah, he
yeah,
definitely popped off the first couple games.
yeah, he did really good, and like I said, it's just, like for me, it was just landing charms on like Vi when she went in on him or something like that, and yeah, and from there, I mean, Dinner has a whole list of champions he likes to pick in certain situations and all that, and Shin's always just a good pick into like dive. So
One last question for you. How are you adjusting to the new role? Obviously, you ranked up, uh, swapped to not your standard role. Uh, any concerns or comments related to that swap, or how
it's
you feeling about mid?
it's a work in progress. I mean, I'm feeling better every time I practice. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff I need to work on still, but I think this game was like a big step up for me because I was able to really start doing a little bit more shot calling and stuff. I mean, it was a team effort for sure on that sort of stuff, but um, I know when they like basically 5-man bought like 10 minutes or whatever it was in the first game, I called out that was happening and had called out Eli's ultimate and told him to basically do that and all that, and we just from there watched them outplay while we took mid plates and Herald and topside. So or Grubs. Was it Grubs? I don't remember. But
It was, yeah, Scrubs.
Yeah,
It was
Scrubs.
very good play.
yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, I know from my perspective, I'm getting better every game, but work in
Good to
progress.
see. Good to see. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
GG's. Is that? I think. Are we good?
Yep, I think that'll be the end. I think that's all.